As we left off last week, our characters had been involved in a situation. Aldo, Reaper's father figure and dear friend for life, had fallen ill after being mugged several days ago, almost weeks now. Recovering from that and then being involved in a fire upon his home in which he barely survived thanks to the help of the characters. He seemed to be in poor shape. Last week, the characters discovered, more specifically Blinder discovered, that upon inspection, that Aldo seemed to be developing some sort of fever or sickness, an internal situation seemed to be going on. Our characters, not being completely and utterly studied in the ways of medical sciences, decided to seek out help. And being in the night market, far away from some people's connections and people they know, they sought out a connection that Carver knew by the name of Brill. Brill is a vice purveyor of sorts, and they made an exchange with him that involved he would provide a physician through his contacts and medical care, medicine, and in exchange the cast would do a job for him. The job involved seeking out a man by the name of Eldwin Morval, who was apparently a man of science, a chemist, a sparkwright, a person that was apparently developing something for those who had been seeking them out. After searching for some time, they found their way to the lead they'd been given by Brill, a house of pleasure known as the Ashland Wharf. Going through it, they went through their various methods of trying to discover information, different breaking up into smaller groups or individuals. The cast all was able to ascertain different aspects of the information that, yes, Eldwin Morval had been at the Ashland Wharf. And in time, through the methods unknown to the rest of the characters, Blinder was able to see a sort of harrowing vision that led him to the place that he believed Eldwin Morval was. So as they left, the characters, realizing all the information they had gathered, Carver having made the deal with the madam of the house, Zelia Shea, regarding what she believed that she did not have Eldwin Morval, but instead was looking for him as well in a sort of deceptive manner. Carver agreed to the job, and so they left, trying to follow the information that Zelia had provided to them to find Eldwin. While leaving, though, Blinder noticed the same surroundings that he had seen in his vision. He saw this brilliant white marble that he had seen surrounding the underground laboratory that he believed he had seen Eldwin within. Upon that realization, all of the characters went storming back into the Ashland Wharf, following through the hallways, down the old staircase until they found themselves in the lab and found Eldwin. Upon waking Eldwin from his comatose drug-induced stupor, they had a brief interaction with him in which he was not very helpful and decided that the best way to remove him from the premises was to knock him unconscious and carry him out. After doing so, they gathered all of the papers that they could find within his small room and left Eldwin's space, fighting their way out of the Ashland Wharf, the House of Pleasure itself, by engaging in bouts with guards and a chase that involved Blinder and Martin running through various aspects of this House of Pleasure until they eventually made their grand escape using the very chaos that they had created, more specifically Blinder by holding a vial of acid and screaming panic. By using the very chaos that they had created in their escape, they were able to leave through the only exit that at the time they knew of, and quickly hop into a gondola and leave. We find our characters now, having left the Ashland Wharf, having headed on this gondola across the Red Lamp District, which is very much a sort of red light district of the city of Duskwall. And for the very beginning of the game, for the first time since we started this campaign, I would like us to enter what is known as the downtime phase. So for those of you watching, you may not know, but as I had said before, there are phases in this game. And some of the phases had been alluded to, but we had never actually gone into. The downtime phase can be a very, very important phase. It's a phase that takes place after what is known as the score, or basically the mission. Having completed this mission, or score, as they did last week, we now enter into the downtime phase, which is usually when they receive their payment, when they're able to accomplish downtime tasks, which are basically things that they're working on the side, like crafting items or looking in, investigating, sort of long-term investigations, helping in their neighborhood or building up their own turf, etc. And so, as I said, for the first time during this campaign, we will be entering into the downtime phase and allowing the players to engage in their downtime actions. So the way this works is that each player receives 2 downtime actions. And with those downtime actions, they can choose to do a number of things. One of those things, as you saw from Martin MacCalister last week, was that you can choose to indulge in your vice, which is something you can do during downtimes, or if you want to go through the full role play like we saw with Martin, I usually allow it to happen in a scene, basically. But what I will say is, if obviously, like people are like role playing, doing their vice and then doing it in downtime and then they keep doing it like that, we might end up having to change the way that we go about that. But for now, it's working out okay. So with that, I want to give the cast just a few seconds to think about what they would like to do in their downtime phase. I'm going to pull up the book for the viewers here really quick. Give me a quick second to find the downtimes. So some of these may not apply. For example, acquiring an asset may not apply. Like usually acquiring an asset is something that the characters will want to do before a job because it only lasts until the end of their next score, basically. A long-term project they could work on. They could recover getting treatment to tick their healing clock, like a long-term project. When you fill a clock, each harm is reduced by 1 level. So basically anybody that has any sort of conditions on them or anything like that, like any person, including Angela and others that have, I believe Ryan has also received a condition. This could be a time you could spend one of those actions basically adding to the healing clock to basically get rid of that condition. And for every clock that you fill on that, it basically reduces it by 1 category. So because each of your conditions are only level 1 conditions, that means as soon as you fill the clock, it just goes away. So that is how that will work. Train, they can spend 1 of their downtime actions per downtime phase to basically add 1 XP to their playbook, or an attribute as basically representing that they're montaging and training. So why don't we just start with Angela, if that's okay. Angela, what would you like to do for your downtimes?
I'm going to take my first action as seeking out a movement, a smaller movement of maybe rebels or revolutionaries.
Okay.
And the second action is going to be offering them help to support their cause.
Okay. So we'll say that the you seeking out a revolutionary group is going to be a clock, right? It's going to represent you seeking out different things. So why don't we do that roll first to see how far along it is? Because if you don't complete it, you haven't found it yet, just so we're not like wasting your second action. Because if you haven't found them yet, then you might want to do something else or add to that first clock again in order to find them. So that next downtime phase, you can actually like seek them out and be like, hey, I heard about you guys and I'd like to help you. So why don't we do that roll?
Give me 1 second.
No problem.
What am I rolling?
You are rolling. For any downtime roll, add 1 dice to the roll if you get help from a friend or contact. You can also spend coin to add dice to the roll.
Okay, so I'm going to use the hunt skill.
Okay, sure.
And then do I add a dice to that, or is it just the dice from the skill?
It is the dice from the skill, and then if you gain assistance from someone else, or if you want to spend a coin or a rep, you can add more dice to it. You can also keep in mind that after the roll, you can always spend coin to increase the effectiveness of the roll. So like, for example, let's say you roll, because unlike other challenges where you have, like effect levels, in downtimes, the the level of clocks that you tick is based on what you roll. So if you roll a 1 to 3, you fill one section of the clock. If you roll a 4 or 5, you fill two sections of the clock. If you roll a 6, you fill three sections of the clock. And if you critically roll, you fill 5 sections of a clock, if it has 5 sections or more, right?
Okay, I'm gonna roll.
Yeah, and you can always, like I said, you can always spend one coin to up the effectiveness. So, like, let's say you roll a 1, 2, or 3. You could spend one coin to basically increase that to a partial success, increasing the clock by 2, right? And you could keep doing that all the way up based on how much coin you would like to spend or something of that variety.
I'll spend a coin.
Okay.
And I got a 5.
You got a 5? And you're spending a coin to add a dice, or you're spending a coin after you rolled?
After I rolled.
Okay, so you rolled a 5, so you're going to get 2 sections of the clock filled, and you will be able to then, by spending the coin, you will increase it to 3 sections of the clock filled.
I'll go ahead and take the second action for downtime to do that as well.
Okay.
I got a 1.
Got a 1? Okay, so it's going to fill, and then it will finish the clock. Okay, so with this downtime phase, you have successfully sought out a revolutionary group. I'm going to say that in the specific district that you're in, you end up seeking out and finding one of the most notable revolutionary groups, which is the Skovlander Rights Movement, which is far more supported in other sections of the city, but it is the most outspoken group because of the information that you discover is there's a huge movement of Skovlander rights going on, because back in Skovland, where the vast majority of the raw factories are, there are rumors amongst the people that those factories are causing damage both to the land and to the people, like pollution, poisoning, destroying water sources, like all sorts of things. And so the Skovlanders not only are hoping for better treatment here in Duskfall, basically being refugees from the war that only ended 2 years ago, in which their country was basically conquested by the Akaros. But they're hoping for better treatment and for those factories to have better care of their workers as well as the surrounding areas, because it's almost unlivable is what they're saying. Okay, so those are Angela's 2 actions. So now let's move to Doug.
Okay, for the first downtime action, I don't. Ezra decides to. He lingers behind. In the Silk Shore district, which is where we were at last, right?
You were leaving the Silk Shore district.
Yeah. And he basically he's like, I'll meet up later.
Okay, so he had
And
at some
then
point gets
leaves-
off the boat, basically.
Yeah, and he
Okay.
goes to his vice purveyor.
Okay.
Find it. All these pages. Ana Maria Valderez.
Okay.
And knocks on the door.
Okay.
And basically tries to talk his way into indulging the vice. Like, hey, look, I'm obviously doing better. I could owe you money.
Okay.
I have my own. I just need a place to do it.
Okay. So
And,
they will invite you in, and for a price, basically provide you with what was it, opiates you had chosen, or stupor of some variety?
Yes, stupor, basically.
Okay.
He just goes on his binge.
Okay.
So I don't. It's at the roll dice equal to 2 lowest, or the lowest one, which is 0. So it's
Yes.
roll 2 dice and then take
For
the lowest.
your vice roll, yes.
Yeah. So that's 2. So I remove 2 stress. Correct?
Oh no. It's not. Remember, it's not. Did you say it was 0?
No, my lowest attribute
Yeah. What's your
is
lowest attribute?
0.
Okay, so remember how we talked about that we wouldn't go to the 0, we would go to whatever the lowest is after that?
Okay, so it would just be 1 die.
Yeah, it would just be 1 die.
Okay. Oh,
Just because, unlike many other tests, your Vice roll is actually better for it to be lower. So saying you don't have a stat seems strange, you know what I mean? Yeah.
dropping dice here.
It's
I
all good.
rolled a 4.
Okay.
Though.
How much stress do you have?
4.
Oh, perfect. So yeah,
I
you don't
overindulge.
You engage in your Vice, entering into the stupor in this flop house in Silkshore, and you pass the F out, basically.
And it's some time. We do 1 each, right? Or do we do both?
You get 2 actions. So go ahead and do your second one as well.
And then when he comes back with his, night after walk or walk of shame,
Sure.
he goes and sits alone on the roof of the building that they're living in for
on the
the
loft?
time being.
Okay.
Yeah, in the loft.
Okay.
And he pulls out a slightly blood-stained piece of parchment or vellum
Okay.
and looks at it. Now having worked himself still a little high, worked himself up to the using it.
Okay.
And he looks over at the rain-soaked ceiling or rooftop and sees a pigeon. Walks over to it very calmly. Sits down next to the pigeons, with a little bit of grain that he picked up from the feeding bin. Gets it to come closer. And then reaches out and twists its neck.
Grabs it and then breaks its neck. Okay.
And that's where the scene leaves him as he begins to study.
Oh, okay. So he's doing more studying into the vast dark secrets.
Preparing what's on the page.
Oh, I see.
For activation.
Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. So you are preparing your special thing. For those of you that are aware, both myself and Doug had a conversation about how rituals and things of that nature should work in this world, and it made the most sense for them to be an act of downtimes or something that requires preparation, because the world of magic and things of that variety in this world is more esoteric. It's entropic. It's changing. It's moving. Nothing is a hard science, which is why there aren't schools of magics or schools for understanding the ghost field and things like that. There are theories, but there are never quite full understanding, full knowledge. This is, the science of it in a sense, right? And so that's perfect. So now we will move to Ryan.
Oh, moving to me. Martin has had enough of being in the sewer and not being able to dress appropriately for the day.
Okay.
So he is taking his ass to Dundridge and Sons, sneakily if need be, but he will make his way there to indulge his vice.
Okay. So he heads to Dundridge and Sons the next morning, I'm presuming, when they're open.
The next time they're open after we dropped off our package.
You hadn't dropped it off just yet because I had said that you still had him. So we'll say you have him overnight, just because finding Brill randomly in the middle of the night may be a little hard. But he's still unconscious, so you end up keeping him throughout the night. So I could say that you easily, the next morning, you end up going to Dundridge very early while people still haven't gotten up or whatever the case may be.
I'll make sure to double taut the knots on the blankets.
Okay.
Just to kind of make sure he doesn't get out, and I sneak out.
Okay.
I head over to Dundridge, and I kind of just walk in. Do I see? Oh, what's his name? I had his name. Winslow. Do I see Winslow there?
Yes.
Awesome. Do I see Mr. Dunridge?
No, you do not.
Well, I will go over to Winslow
Mm-hmm.
and just proceed to get myself a good set of traveling clothes, probably about 3 or 4 different looks,
Okay.
but all they need to be rugged and tear resistant,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing.
Okay.
Not too concerned with color, but a little bit of brightness here and there wouldn't hurt too badly, I don't think.
Sure. So after that, Winslow will lead you over to, different sections of clothing, showing you different weaves and styles that have been made for those who work, but also want to have nicer clothing, that sort of thing. And so you're able to find suits that fit. There may not be as many, like they may not be as well cut or super, super fancy or anything like that, but they are sturdy clothing that still has a nice look about them. Good enough for government work, as Doug always says. And yeah, you're able to do that. So go ahead and do your Vice roll.
Awesome. So since I have a 0, it's a 1, right?
It's whatever your lowest
Which
resistance is.
Technically 0, so 1. So just a die, or am I rolling at disadvantage?
No, there's no disadvantage. It's so what is your next lowest stat?
2.
So then you would roll 2 dice.
Oh, all right.
I'm just keeping with the sort of house rule that we had established in previous games and sort of rolling forward with it. Yeah.
That's fine. I got a 4 and a 2.
Okay, so
And I had 5 stress.
Okay, so you remove 4 stress from your 5. You still have 1 stress remaining. You don't overindulge though.
Yay! And I basically I will give them the last of my money, whatever I have left.
Sure.
And if
Dundridge,
anything needs to get,
oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and if anything needs to get put over, just set it aside. I will come back and pay.
Dundridge is well known for not only their quality, but also their price points. And so the sort of clothes you're buying, since they're more meant for like workers and things of that variety, they have a pretty decent price point. So you're able to afford these clothing without an issue. If you were going for their sort, you're not really on their top shelf. You're on their medium to bottom shelf sort of a thing, right?
Yeah.
So you're easily able to afford these with no issue.
Okay. And then on the way back, I will see if I can stop by. Is there any kind of this is odd, but is there any kind of bookseller who would sell like children's books?
Sure.
Specifically, whatever in Duskwall is the equivalent of Where's Waldo?
Sure, there's probably something like that.
Okay. I will go and pick up a few of these books.
Okay.
Kind of like ashamedly, head down, kind of. I just need the book.
That's
and walk
fine.
away.
Yeah.
Because I am training my survey skill.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna train, and then add 1 XP to the
insight.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Perfect. Yep. So you're sitting there looking through books and being like, "Where are they? Okay, they're there. Okay. Yeah. No, That's perfect. I love that. Yeah.
And there's probably one where it's like, "Where's the fucking sailboat?"
Yeah. So eventually, the next morning, Martin will return with books and bags of clothes, like he just went shopping on the town.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. And so Xylus, what is Carver doing?
Carver is going to contact or get a hold of Connor if he can.
I would start a clock for that and have it be
that would be a long-term project.
Yeah, basically.
And we're going to start working on trying to find those answers to the questions that he brought up.
Okay. So we are going to start a clock for finding Connor. Okay. It is going to be a 6-segment clock.
Okay.
And feel free to roll, and then you can decide if you want to have both actions go into that, or if you just want to leave it where it's at and continue working on it when we get to downtimes the next time.
Okay. So I roll using Insight, Prowess, or Resolve, right?
Whichever skill you think would be most appropriate. Think of it like a challenge.
So could I just use the Hunt skill?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
You could use the hunt skill, and like I explained to Angela, you could either spend coin or reputation, which you guys don't have any crew rep right now, so you can't spend rep. But you could spend coin if you still have coin to up the number of dice you have. You can receive an assistance if somebody else spends a downtime to assist you, which no one has. Or once you've done the roll, you can spend a coin to increase the effect.
Double fives.
Double fives. Okay, so on the 6-segment clock, you will receive 2 sections filled. And there it is. So we still have Ezra's. And then we have yours for Finding Connor, 6-segment clock. And 2 sections are filled on that. Unless you wanted to spend a coin to increase the effect or something of that variety.
Nope. And then for the next action, I was going to train.
Okay.
I was going to train in skirmish. I was hoping
Okay.
to kind of corner Reaper and ask her for some tips.
Okay.
Well, that's one PC knocked out. Does he do it like this? Whap!
I mean,
I'm totally down to come back all like bruised and shit.
It might, Reaper might start you off nice at first, maybe like, oh, your stance is all wrong, and like helps you fix your stance and shows you where to hold your hands and like that sort of thing. But yeah, they're probably at some point, I presume, Reaper just socks someone.
So everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
That's true.
Okay, cool. So you're adding 1 XP to the physical section because there's prowess, insight, resolve. So you're adding 1 to prowess into the prowess thing.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Training prowess. Okay, so now that we have successfully gone through the downtime phase for the first time, we can now move back to the free play section. With all of these things now established, we have those clocks going. I only have a quick thing. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys move back to free play to start interacting as you would like. I have a few things that I, as the storyteller during the downtime scenes, I normally have to do behind the scenes. So I'm going to be working on those while you guys enter back into free play and are able to engage in role play, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and move back to that.
Oh, all right. Morning, all. Oh.
Good morning. Ezra doesn't look, or Blinder doesn't look like he's received much sleep as of late. He looks very pale and, just comes walking down the steps.
Are you okay? Are you sick or something?
No, I don't know. It's probably just caught. It's probably just a cold.
Okay, well, you stay back from me. Well, hey, I got something I can ask all 3 of you since you're here, and since we still got little Fuckstain. After we deliver him, what happens? We just part and go our separate ways?
I don't know. Maybe we'll get an opportunity for more work.
Well, actually, that's what I was going to ask. Is I got dragged on this run for basically nothing. Getting nothing from it, really, except meeting y'all. How would you feel about all returning the favor and helping me find my cousin,
I'm down.
who is currently either wounded, absconded with, both, dead? I don't know. All I have is an address. In
So-
6 towers.
6 towers?
Yeah.
Let's go bust down some doors.
Excuse me. What is your cousin? You said.
Yes, cousin.
What does your cousin have to do with Mr. Aldo's attack?
Absolutely nothing. That's the point. I offered my services without payment. I'm just, hoping I can get the same in return.
But you're receiving the same benefit as the rest of us.
Who said?
I'm not receiving any benefit. Aldo is the one receiving benefit. He's from Char Hollow.
And Aldo has the answers that you seek. So if he was dead, then you would not receive any benefit.
He doesn't have any answers. I wasn't looking for Aldo. I was looking for you, points at Ezra.
Because you thought I stabbed Aldo.
Yeah, I wanted to figure out what was going on. Why my name was getting dragged around with yours. I still don't know. You seem like a somewhat okay person. Kind of tilts his head.
So wouldn't the person that is dragging your name in the mud, wouldn't that person likely be or know who attacked Aldo? I mean, it seems to me that crime was committed against Mr. Aldo. And then instead of the person who committing it being accused of his attack, the person is instead blaming me and you falsely or spreading the rumors to such. So in order to find the person who is tearing your name through the mud, I would think that you would need Mr. Aldo alive so we can find out who attacked him.
I mean, maybe, but at this point, my cousin has been missing for a few days now. Aldo is currently safe, being taken care of by doctors.
We've done about as much as we can for Aldo.
Yeah, he's there, and and whoever could, if whoever can save him, they can save him, and not leave him for the wardens. Okay? I don't really give a fuck about Aldo right now. What I care about is my family. And I decided to join you all on this little mission when I wasn't involved in the asking or construction of this little mission.
It looks like you're trying to guilt trip us into it. I already said I was going.
No, I know. I'm not trying to guilt trip anybody into going. A guilt trip and be like, you're a horrible person if you don't help me. That would be guilt trip. This is just hoping. I know I got it from you. I'm trying to convince Blinder here.
I never said that I wasn't going to go. I'm merely questioning why we are deterring in our course.
Our course is to drop off this little guy. Right? And then it's done. Last I checked.
Once we drop off Eldwin, there's not much else we can do for Aldo until the medicines take hold and he heals. That will take time. So, naturally, we will have time to help our new friend search for someone who's missing.
Friend's a strong word, but I know what you're going with.
Is friend a strong word?
For me, it is.
Oh. Tough, get used to it.
All right.
He's new to Discwall. I am, however, I'm not. So I understand we are not friends. But I do not think it's pertinent to go on at it my own at this juncture, so I guess I am forced to comply with the direction of the group.
Forced to comply. Huh.
For
What
my
does
own
comply mean?
to go with.
Oh. Well, all right. I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to. But I don't know.
What I wanted, what anyone wants of concern to anyone in this city. Only the rich and powerful get what they want.
Goddamn right about that one. Rich bastards don't know what's good for them and what's not. So, let's say shall we drop off ye old parcel?
I'm good with it if you are.
Then. Oh, by the way, Reaper, I saw a little bit of action you were putting up in the club, the Pleasure Den. You got some good moves.
Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, but did you see the thing where I jumped off a balcony with another person on my back? That was hella cool.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. However, you got a swift fucking knockout. I tell you. Oh, I don't know if I can stop myself. I usually break jaw.
Well, it's not about causing damage, it's about stopping your opponent, right?
Cause enough damage, they stop.
But you could also kill them.
Their choice for getting him away.
Not so much.
And hence the disagreement. I say tear it all down, let the ceiling crush those that are still in the building. You know, but that's just me.
Are we going or what?
I mean, I don't know. This is a good morning. Feeling good. Still,
Good morning, and you guys are talking about some of the most depressing things.
How? What? What's
The
depressing about
city
it?
being completely untrustable and disagreeing with people. It just seems to me like we could start moving. You've got a cousin who's missing, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, pick up ye old parcel. Start making our way toward Brill. Unless anybody had anything.
Nope.
One moment. And he goes upstairs and he comes back down with his little side bag that he got with his outfit, and you see him tucking a pigeon's feather into his bag.
Hmm. Okay.
Okay, so you're all heading to the South Fork then?
Yep. Trying to keep as, concealed as possible.
Are you bringing Eldwin with you, or are you leaving him back at the loft?
Well, we're taking him to Brill.
Okay, so you're bringing him with you to the South Fork Tavern.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just checking.
Yep, he's still wrapped in the blankets, and I just kind of got a hold of him. He starts moving too much. He gets a foot in the thigh.
So you're in the morning, the busiest time of the day. You're carrying a man covered in blankets, a blanket, through the busy city streets.
Right. Well, I mean, unless anybody else has any better ideas.
I suggest that Brill understands what will happen to him if he causes a scene or gains attention. He's a manufacturer of narcotics, presumably. So he undoubtedly won't have any positive attention from the Bluecoats. I suggest what we do is we sit Mr.
Eldwin.
Mr. Mr. Morville down,
Mm.
and explain to him what's going to happen if he screams, runs, or yells, and then we keep a firm hand on him. I have a very long jacket, and I'm accustomed to the rain, so he could wear that over his clothing to obscure his bindings.
Carver has something?
Okay.
Okay.
There's a cart right around back. Thought you guys want to know.
I still think it might be a good idea to tell him not to, make a scene. Well, hey, Reaper, you knocked him out. You want to have at it first?
What are we trying to do here? What is your goal?
Just to get him to the point where he understands that if he makes noise, it's very bad for him.
He's knocked out right now, right?
True, but if we put him in a cart or I sling him over my shoulder, he might wake up in transit.
I'll put him back to sleep.
All right, back to the cart it is. Do we have a goat? Or just a cart?
I don't know. We get Aldo there. It's cart as
You
far
guys,
as I know.
you guys paid a cabbie to bring Aldo here. I'm fine with saying that there's like a wheelbarrow in the back alleyway or something like that. Like, that's totally fine. Like an old broken wheelbarrow or something. Cart. Yeah.
Oh, I thought we procured a cart for...
No, you paid a cabbie to bring him under the radar.
Okay. Wheelbarrow it is.
Sure.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's a wheelbarrow. I can lift it.
Oh, I got it. We can switch off if we need. So,
Parker on the side. I've got an idea. Can I use disguise? And just like put like a bunch of dirt and like potting soil or like, I don't know, maybe like sticks or twigs in there.
It's a wheelbarrow, so his legs are gonna like pop out. So you're gonna have like a pile of dirt with twigs and then a man's legs and arms popping out the side.
The trick is to move fast, act like you know where you're going, and if somebody asks questions, the guy was drunk, he came into your house, and he thought it was his house and passed out.
All right. Leave it to you.
Mike, just so you know, I picked up another playbook ability with XP last night. So I picked up Mule. So my loads are heavier, which means I can carry
Oh,
stuff.
you filled up the bar in the playbook?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And took Mule, so I'm literally...
And Mule is a one box one, not a multi-box? Yep. Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Yeah, you're good. So you can carry more, etc.
Yep. My light
Awesome.
load is 5. So...
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Walking our way to Brill with a guy in a wheelbarrow.
So you start heading? Are you heading down main roads? Or are you trying to take the back roads, like alleyways and things like that? Like, what is your plan?
I mean, not main road. Trying to stay
Okay.
off the radar.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Of course.
So you try to avoid suspicion where you can, and you make your way through the night market, and then eventually arrive at
Sorry, I have
the
this-
South Fork Tavern.
I have this image in my head of Ryan's character just pushing this random passed out dude in a wheelbarrow through a night market.
That's
and
yeah.
Anything.
Yeah, I mean, you as you said, you're trying to avoid major thoroughfares and go through alleys and things like that. So there's a couple moments where you pass by people and they're just looking at you, but you're not stopped by blue coats or anything of that variety. So yeah, you make your way there. Are you leaving the wheelbarrow and someone staying with it outside the South Fork and then going in, or are you just trying to get the wheelbarrow into the South Fork? What are you doing there? Yeah, go ahead, Reaper.
I would suggest pretending he's a drunken patron as you're bringing him in, the best we can.
I mean, or I could just, or the person who actually knows Brill can go get Brill, and he can come out here and let Brill deal with him.
I'm sure Brill doesn't want this out in the open.
Oh, yeah, fuck. Take him out of the blankets and kind of hoist him up.
Okay.
Come on. Whoa there, hey. Weekend at Bernie's. Let's go.
Oh, round 2 of Weekend at Bernie's. Okay.
Round
Perfect.
2.
Perfect. A different person, of course, but you Weekend at Bernie's him inside.
Yeah.
Try
and find a booth somewhere that's kind of secluded.
Sure.
If there is one.
Sure.
And just kind of poof.
Mm-hmm.
Set him down.
So you set him down.
Well, I'm setting him down in a booth and sitting next to him, and just pretending that I'm his friend.
Okay. Is everybody else nearby? What is everybody else doing?
I'm gonna be the one to go and walk up to Brill.
I'll walk behind him.
You don't actually see Brill sitting at a booth. You see him, he's over near a door talking to some people. And then when he sees you, he sort of motions at you and then walks towards his normal booth. And as you're approaching, he sits down.
I'll wait to be summoned over.
There's nobody else there. He
okay.
was saying hello and then walks over to the booth
So
and
I'll
sits down.
wander over there.
Okay. Did Blinder have something? I saw your hand was up, Doug.
Yeah, Blinder's going to hang back.
Okay.
Go to the bar. Watch the conversation.
Sure.
You know, he doesn't muddle things like he did last time.
Sure,
so.
sure. Okay. Anybody else doing anything else?
I'm just following Carver's lead.
Okay. So Carver heads over to Brill.
Morning.
Good morning to you. How are you this fine day?
Doing all right.
You might. Oh, go ahead.
No, I don't want to interrupt.
I was going to say, do my eyes deceive me? Is that the man I believe it is?
Well, I sure hope so.
I'll nod enthusiastically behind Carver.
And when he goes to look at him, I'll kind of play with his bottom jaw.
I don't like making a long affair of these jobs. It's best to get them done quick.
He seems unconscious. You made sure to not do any damage to him, right?
No more damage than he was doing to himself where he was being kept.
Have you woken him up to check to make sure he's not suffering from some sort of concussion or something?
Nah, he's fine.
I have
Watch. I'll turn over and I'll slap him across the face to wake him up.
He's on the other side of the room.
Oh, I'll walk over to him and go and slap him across the face to wake him up.
He just sort of, seems unconscious still.
I'll keep slapping him till he wakes up. Not hard, just like tapping his face
Oh,
annoyingly.
okay, okay. Eventually, he sort of stirs awake, and he's just like sitting there looking around, like,
Good morning. How are you?
Wakey, wakey. Hey. Come on now.
I also procured these, and he'll pull out the stack of papers and then slide them across the table.
these were his, I presume.
I believe so. Everything that he was working on that I could find is now in your possession.
Well, this is more than I'd asked for, so I can't say I'm not impressed with your work.
The woman who runs the pleasure house?
Yes.
God, what was her name? I'm so bad with names.
Her name was
Celia.
Miss Shea.
Shay? Ah, yes. She was keeping him.
Was she?
Indeed.
Interesting.
She double-crossed me on a deal that I made for information. I didn't take kindly to that.
What do you mean a deal you made with her?
I was looking for him. She made a deal with me that she would supply me with information.
In exchange for?
In exchange for money.
I mean, what
She double-crossed me.
information did she want?
No, she was supposed to supply me with information about his whereabouts.
Oh, I see.
She withheld on her end of the bargain because we found him in her pleasure palace. Under lock and key,
What
kept by her own goons.
would have happened if she hadn't had him and you found him somewhere else and her information was good?
What would have happened? I would have been paid.
She paid you to find him? And you accepted that offer, and then she double-crossed you?
No. I paid
guess I'm-
for information about his whereabouts, and she double-crossed me.
The story you tell is a bit confusing then.
I needed information about his whereabouts. The information that you had led me there. From there, the trail gets cold.
I see.
Who better to ask for information than the very people who run the establishment? But information isn't cheap, it comes at a cost. So I start spending money. Money I don't necessarily have. She double-crosses me. Which leads me to find out that he is in the establishment. When I find him in the establishment, things go awry. And we had to fight our way out.
Perhaps my ears deceive me, but you'd originally told me two different versions of the same story. I just wanted to make sure I knew which one was the truth. Maybe it was just a slip of the tongue. But it
I'm
seems...
telling the same version of the story. Either way, you have what you need. And then some.
Well... there he is then. Have your man bring him over here. Set him down.
I'll motion over and...
Martin will pick him up and kind of, we'll kind of half frolic through the bar. Little bit of a bounce in the step.
Okay.
Where's he sleeping?
Put him down here.
Sets him down. Martin sets him down. Gently, as to not break anything, but...
Who's your friend? Brill says, looking at Martin. To Carver.
That's Martin. Martin, this is Brill.
Brill, it's good to meet you.
What was your name? Martin what?
Martin MacCalister. You may have heard of me.
Yes. Yes, I have.
Well, good. I'm glad such, I don't know, established ears are hearing my name.
So you help these friends of mine, shall we say, employees in a sense, at least for the time, to accomplish this job.
I did.
Carver, would you consider Martin a friend of yours?
I would.
Someone you trust?
At that particular line when he says friend of yours, Martin visibly takes like a full step back and is just kind of looking around.
Sorry, he's newer to the crew. He seems a little shy.
No, it's not shyness. I know fighting words when they come up.
Okay, never mind.
Well, who did you mean?
When is friend of fighting? What is it with you guys and the word friend?
I'll look over at Blinder if he's looking in my direction, and I'll just shake my head.
Blinder will look like confused, like.
I'm gonna point directly at Martin.
Blinder will kind of saunter up a little bit. Mr. Brill? Good drinks here. It's settling my stomach. I have a awful stomach ache.
You have something on your shoes.
Oh, just the climate not agreeing with me. That's all. A little bit of mess. Takes out a handkerchief and then cleans up his shoe.
How long have you known
Like,
this
really
man?
embarrassing.
This Martin individual.
All my life.
You have. All of you.
Yeah. Well, no, not. I don't know about them, but I've known him for quite some time.
I see.
4 days.
Are you aware?
Is that going to be a problem?
Necessarily. You have something?
I'm gonna interrupt, and I'm gonna shake my head and look at Carver in disbelief. Do you tell everybody everything all the time?
I do make it a habit not to lie to people who overanalyze everything, such as Brill.
But you overshare. Brill wouldn't have so many questions if you wouldn't keep sharing.
I'm an inquisitive sort, I could say. Something on your mind there, Blinder?
Mr. Brill, are you satisfied that our payment for your services has been complete?
Yes.
Excellent. It's been a pleasure doing business with you. And thank you for the tailor. It did help.
Wonderful. Mr.
fitting
Penn
in
does
in
great
there.
work.
Yes, he does.
I'll look at
Go.
I'll look at Blinder, and then I'll look at Mr. Brill.
Mhm.
Mr. Brill, if you need our services again, please contact us. I'm going to step outside. I need some fresh air.
Well, before you leave, I thought I would mention, perhaps if this individual, Martin, is going to be working with you three. You might want to be aware that there is a significant price having been placed on his head recently.
Oh, how much? By who?
100 pounds of silver.
By who?
Unsure. I just hear the
Congrat-
rumors.
Congratulations, you're a celebrity.
Oh man,
Then
100
take it-
pounds of silver? That's pittance. Let's do this.
Am I to take that this is a contract, not a legal bounty, as it were?
It's the rumor, yes. I haven't seen any official documents or anything. I just hear the rumor. There's a price out.
Would you be willing to let me chase that rumor up the hill? Meaning, tell me who you heard it from.
Oh, I don't divulge such information. I'm sorry.
Of course not. Of course not. Mr. MacCalister, Mr. Martin knows quite well that you just have to try. I suppose
It doesn't hurt to ask.
No, of course not. Well, Mr. Brill, thank you for the lending us the assistance, and I'm glad that you received your payment, and for the sort of heads up, as it were. It's always nice to know that when people are looking for oneself. I believe that we have some other business. If you should require our assistance in the future.
Well, Carver still owes me a great deal, and you Blinder still owe me one, so, I mean, you'll probably hear from me at some point. At least the two of you will.
Debts will be paid.
Oof.
But we have to go, and
Of course.
deal with other. Yes, thank you. And he turns around.
I hope your friend gets better.
Like,
Brill says as you all start leaving.
before he even could get that out, Blinder's
Sure.
has already turned around and started walking off.
Sure.
I'm gonna look over at Carver while we're leaving, and I'm gonna be like, "You sure you don't want to stay here and talk some more?"
I mean, I could definitely talk some more.
Okay, well, Mr. Brill, it seems like if you have more questions, he'd be willing to give you some more information. I'm gonna step outside and get some fresh air.
I will as well. I'll join you in that. Too much.
I'd presume that was when you guys already walked away, so. And then you turned around and started talking to Brill again?
Yes.
Okay. My contract was satisfied. I don't have anything more. As I said, have a good day.
Have a good day.
Martin walks outside, and outside of visible range, not in a window so that Brill could see,
Mm-hmm.
he just kind of does this, the strangling motion with just his hands.
Okay.
I don't like him. I don't like him at all.
I think he's a fine gentleman.
Person who knows he has leverage. As I come, sounded like because you guys are just outside, right?
Yeah.
I suggest that we, if for the duration of our being working together, I suggest that we do not let others think that we are working for them.
That's why I don't like him. Because he was assuming that I was working for him. Wasn't doing shit for him. I was doing stuff for Aldo. Because he's got it coming.
Who's got it coming?
Aldo.
What do you mean?
I spent a very, very good amount of my youth in Char Hollow. I know people from there. Not entirely, but I've heard his name and I've heard he was a good man. I don't know him, I've never met him in person, except for watching him getting taken away in a cart. Never met him in person, but I have heard of him
Gotcha.
from
I
when I
grew-
was younger.
I grew up with him.
Oh yeah, I grew up in a different part of Char Hollow.
I witnessed his stabbing.
Well, hey, it seems Aldo is the thing that binds all of us together. Isn't that amazing? And now he's gonna live. Hooray!
I don't think
Everybody
there's
wins.
any small amount of coincidence that Mr. Aldo was attacked, being a pillar of society, if that is true, within Char Hollow at least, being a beacon of hope, maybe for that particular. I'm not as familiar with Char Hollow. You have to forgive me.
Hmm.
But if he was important to that neighborhood, I find it no small amount of coincidence that he should be attacked by a person who is also smearing those who are good friends or know him who may be able to assist him. And there was coincidentally a fire that was set to the
Yeah,
neighborhood.
and also me looking for my cousin. I wound up getting into a trap. Somebody else's trap. Like, I don't know whose it was or what they put it for, but that's where I found Unis. Was in a damn basement with cages.
Eunice is your cousin?
No, was Aldo's date.
Yes, I know who Eunice is. What?
No, my cousin's name is Amanda Aglet. Okay. She's about a head shorter than me. Long, dark blonde hair. As odd as that sounds, it's dark blonde. And she's been missing for far too long for something not to be wrong. And also at her place, when I went there, I found a bloodstain in her bedroom floor. On her bedroom floor. And then people tried to get me. Oh, no. They came to get beat the fuck up by me. Because they decided to walk in on me then, saying that someone's watching the house to see if people are going in or out. So something bigger is here, but I don't really care. I want to find my cousin. Now I'm headed to 6 Towers. The rest of you can come with me or not.
Six towers?
6 Towers. I have this address. Holds up the address that I got. It's at this address. Got this actually from what the fuck?
I'm gonna take the address and I'm gonna look at. Do I recognize the address? All Hmm. 6 Towers. Excellent neighborhood.
Oh yeah, I got this from Chael. Yeah. He tried to shoot me. He was not happy to see me.
I broke his jaw.
I know! I broke his gun. Anyway. I knew there'd be some things I like about you. Alright. So, start making a way toward 6 Towers unless anybody has something.
Should we wait for our friend to return to us?
Well, yeah, of course. I wasn't saying leave him here. That was an out of game. It was very much unless someone has other scenes they wanted to run.
We should use that term. in public at least, regardless. The discrepancy of whether or not how we view each other is unimportant in the face of strangers. It is not in our interest to not appear anything but unified and capable. And friendship, for as dangerous as we both recognize it to be, still shows a stronger bond than those who would just merely together out of self-preservation.
Yeah, but you're just an acquaintance. All three of you are.
But if others think that we're just acquaintances, they won't be nearly as afraid. They're more afraid of a group that is together and willing to fight for each other than they are. Every advantage matters when you have nothing.
And having nothing is a good advantage, so...
Are you always this contrarian to everything?
Who, me?
No, your sister.
I mean, my actual sister's a bitch. But...
Never mind. I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette.
Okay. Well, I'm currently just waiting for old Carver to come in. Oh.
So the Six Towers, other than two of the families, those two families are, I believe, the Bowmore family and I have it right here, actually. The Bowmore and Rowan House noble families are the only two that still hold any sort of sway over these old ancestral homes they once had, keeping them nice but not super nice, you know. The rest of these houses are dilapidated, are fallen apart, are basically left to ruin. There are squatters in various areas and old houses. There are squatters on the street. It's basically a sort of a pale reflection of the grand nature that this district probably once held. Like the area of Brightstone here in town is basically that new section that was made. So think of like these new, large, beautiful buildings and stonework and all these things, and they're kept pristine. And the Six Towers was basically the original noble area. And so there's this sort of strangeness to it that you can see or imagine in your mind's eye. At one point, this place was very beautiful, very well kept, very nice. And now it's just sort of decayed over the years, been left to rot. So you find yourself outside that locked gate. There's these wrought iron posts basically set into this old gate that goes up very high. You see the same sides that you saw before, Martin, with the bushes that you climbed over. You see the medium to largest size house with a very sort of Victorian style large columns out the front, and the various sheds and things like that set across the several acre plot. And you don't see any lights on or anything of that variety. You do notice that there is, it seems like the chain and the lock that's been set seems to be newer. Like the previous lock that had been on the gate had been removed, and then a new lock was set on it.
Okay. Well, if this is the place that I was earlier, I take everyone back around to the hole in the fence.
Yeah, this was the place you were at like 2 days ago, if I remember correctly. 2 or 3 days ago at this point.
Yeah, that I didn't get to actually investigate because I got trapped.
Yeah.
But I'll go back around to where I found the hole in the wall
to
see if that's still there or not.
Oh, in the fence?
Yeah.
Yeah, so all the way around the back, the very back left side, like let's say you're sitting on the street, here's the street, you're facing the building, basically along the fence line. If you went into the neighbor's yard and followed it all the way to the back, where there's some like back alleyway for workers and buggies and things to come in, there is what looks like a torn hole in the fence that you can like crawl through to get inside. So yeah, you guys could do that. So you all crawl through, you find yourself on the grounds, you see a few buildings over to your left, you see that the back side of the house, seeing the storm cellar on the right side of the house, and then the back entrance in front of you basically there, and then the few buildings off to your left.
Right. I don't know where y'all want to start. I'm gonna start by checking the house. So
And we were just looking for your cousin, or what
we
sort
we
of,
we are looking for my cousin, and
or what
maybe
may have
anybody
happened.
else, or what may have happened to her, to see if she was here, and maybe we can figure out if she got moved somewhere. I'm not really like the brainy type,
Don't worry about it.
but
I believe I know what to look for.
yeah, but I'm willing to say Blinder and Carver, you two look like brainy types, so help me.
What requires my brain at the moment?
Oh no, like looking for stuff. I'm good at breaking shit, not good at finding it.
Okay. Let's find something for Martin to break.
Really, it is just one of those days.
Whatever, everything sucks.
All right, yeah. So I'm gonna start looking through the house.
Okay, you walk up to the
go.
back door. It's locked.
Not for long. It's not. Just kind of found the old heave ho.
Okay, it breaks. The wood is sort of old and not
Okay.
well taken care of, so it just sort of breaks open. Yeah.
Awesome. Push the door open. Hello? Hello?
You don't hear any response inside.
Yeah, and I start going through the place, first looking for blood spots, signs of a fight,
Okay.
That sort of thing. I don't know if you want me to make a roll for that, or...
Sure, if you'd like to.
Sure.
I'll aid you.
Okay.
As the brainy person helping you find shit.
So that means I have 1 die.
Yes, you have whatever your survey or study or whatever hunt or whatever be the most applicable skill plus 1 dice.
I have no insight skill.
Oh, 0 insight skills?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
That's why I went and got Where's Waldo books.
Oh,
This
there
place
you
looks abandoned, more or less, right?
Yes. Yes.
Like it's like been lived in. It has furnishings and all this kind of stuff, but the house is empty.
Yes, all of those furnishings and things are gone.
Everything's gone.
Yeah, it's just like an empty,
completely
empty house.
empty house.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna shut the if there's still any sort of blinds or anything like that, or is
The windows are boarded up.
Oh, they're boarded. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll find something to light, and I'll begin studying.
Okay. So go ahead, Martin roll and Blinder roll.
Well, I got since I only have 1 dice with the assist,
Sure.
I got a 3.
Okay. So you are looking through the space, and you eventually find a pile of blood nearby that hole. Remember, you were underneath that hole in the far corner of the house. There's that hole, and there's a pile of blood, like you presume the body that was thrown down at you had been sitting there for some time. The person was basically bleeding out.
Okay.
And go ahead, Blinder.
Yeah, I would like to actually search. Obviously, I'm searching for any evidence about where may have happened to this person. But I'm actually going to also try to gain a little bit more knowledge about the person if I can. If there's any.
Which person?
Like the person that was abducted, Amanda Aglet.
Oh, like you think that they were maybe here or something?
Yeah, if they were here for any duration more time, or anything about not just where she would have been, but I want to try to find out what happened here. What was the story of this place?
Sure. Okay.
Around those whatever events that may be pertinent to that.
Sure.
Right. I'm not working with anybody while I'm doing. I'm letting them do their thing,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, okay, and I'm just gonna be off on the thing, just like observing and doing. You know what I mean? Like I'll go over to the corner, I'll just look at something, and then I walk away, and I don't really actually even look. May not even look outwardly like a blinder is looking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it may just look like he's just kind of wandering around, but okay, so but I would like to make a devil's bargain if I could.
Sure.
So I got 2 dice plus 1 for devil's bargain, and the devil's bargain I would like to make is that I find something additional that I would need, but I also find something terrifying.
Well, the devil's bargain can only be something that's bad.
Yeah, something terrifying, right?
Okay, something
So
terrifying. Sure.
Yeah, I find, you know, for my normal roll, if I succeed, I get the normal results, and then, but in addition, I find also something very terrifying.
Sure.
Is it possible for me to aid him?
No, because you're doing your own roll.
Okay.
Like even if you come over and aid me, like somebody like Reaper comes over and tries to assist me, I'm just gonna be like, oh no, don't, just it's okay. It's quite fun. I'm quite fine.
Well, it's
You know?
also that I just don't want it to be one of those situations where anytime someone's going to roll for something, everyone is rolling for that and aiding each other and, you know, that sort of thing. So I want there to be different variables.
I'm not going to
and people
necessarily
engaged,
share the information that I find.
Well, you're welcome to share it either way. I'm not worried about that. It's mostly just that I don't want everybody like piggybacking off of each other and all just boosting each other's
spamming
rolls.
rolls.
You know, spamming rolls.
rolls.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, so okay, I got a 6, 4, and a 1.
Okay, so that's
So
a full
6, 9.
success.
Yeah.
So as you go moving through the space, you start realizing that there are pieces of what took place here. You're able to ascertain that at one point someone was dragged to the basement, kicking and screaming. You see scratch marks leading across the floor to a back door that leads to a stairway down to the basement. Traveling down there, you see a locked, like a slat locked. And you open it up and you see cages set inside. Or there's no actual cages there anymore. In fact, what you see is like the remnants on the ground of like dust and things as though cages had been there. You see tarps like laid strewn across the space. You see what looks like at one point there was a slick of blood or something that had been sopped up, or like someone tried to clean it up, like someone fell, and you can see from the hole above that someone probably fell down the hole and splurted blood and things of that nature. And as you move back upstairs, near that blood pile that you see, that dried blood on the floor nearby the hole, from there you're able to follow it backwards and see the dripping of blood, little stains here and there, that the person who was thrown towards Martin apparently had been kept there, barely alive, tortured, tormented, bled, but kept just on the brink of life and death, until presumably the trap was sprung and they finished the job. And you can see that in the difference of like how the blood was pooling and things of that variety. And so you presume that whoever was responsible for whatever took place is meant Martin a great deal of suffering, whether that be the trap that they were trying to spring on them, or that they themselves wanted to hurt Martin. There's a sort of disconnect you can see in the footsteps. You're noticing footsteps that aren't the person who was harmed, and it was like they were pacing, like they were thinking. There's this aspect of the house that you notice that as though the person had probably been here for some time, almost like caged up and cooped up. And you can see that they lashed out. There's knife marks and different things. Like at one point they got bored and they were furiously like throwing a knife at a wall or something.
I think I don't. How much do you love your cousin?
It's not a matter of how much I love her. It's a matter of how many people will I kill to make sure she's safe.
I think this person who has done this, taken your cousin, she may be alive, but he's extremely patient and extremely powerful, and he hates you. I'm assuming I honestly do not know their gender, but they hate you. They hate you enough to have planned this, to have found somebody and kept them weak enough to have tortured them, presumably for some sort of significance to you, or maybe just to break them, or for fun or pleasure. And they waited here for a great deal, for a very, very long time.
Hey, Mike. Looking around this room, are there any couches or chairs or any kind of actual furnishing in this place, or is it just empty?
Empty.
Empty. What are the walls made of?
Wood, and be set by like paper, like wallpaper.
Okay. I'm gonna find a nice wall, and I'm just gonna just rage at the wall, start punching it, ripping pieces of the wall off.
Okay.
Just complete rage destroying this portion of the wall.
Okay.
Like, if I take some damage for it, I'm okay with it.
Probably bloody up your knuckles and things like that. Yeah. So he starts doing that. He hears this, and you can see this something come over him, and he's just go ahead and describe for your character.
Yeah, but you just keep saying it until there's one point where you literally see Martin's face go from complete rage and disgust and anger to where there's nothing there. Just face goes completely blank. He turns quickly on his heels, walks, kind of slowly turns his head and looks to the wall, and then just and just screaming at the absolute top of his lungs in rage, just hammering at this thing. And when it gets onto the ground enough, he's just kind of limply letting his arm and fist just keep pounding into the floor until eventually he just stops, and he's in like he's resting on his feet, and he's breathing heavy because he's tired, but he doesn't say anything.
Reaper, perhaps you... I seem to provoke very negative things out of Mr. Martin. Perhaps you should... Yeah, yes. I'm going outside now.
I'll go make sure that he doesn't get into too much trouble.
I'll walk up to Martin and just put a hand on his shoulder.
When your hand makes contact, there's a little bit of a jump, and it's not like a ready jump. It's like a fear jump.
Sorry.
What?
You okay?
Yeah. Whatever that wallpaper wall color was, it was pissing me off.
I don't blame you.
Just starts picking wood chunks out of his hands. So what's up?
Making sure you're okay.
Oh, I'm alright now. Just gotta let off some steam every now and again. And I don't know any of you well enough to actually want to fight you. So,
Fair enough.
that's a good steady wall right there.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm. And now you can just see he's kind of just working his hands. Yeah. The only thing I love on this planet more than myself is my cousin.
I could tell.
And if someone hates me enough and is cowardly enough to not just come up and want to fight me, when I find this person, when I find whoever it is, that is going to look like child's play. As he's pointing to the large chunk of wall he just ripped out.
As Martin is pointing to it, and like Reaper sort of glances over it for a second, there's this hole now in the wall, and it's the wall that was separating this sort of what seems like at one point might have been like a lounging room or something, and so inside is the hallway that runs through it with the main stairway leading up and everything. And as you're looking, you see a face up the stairway looking at you. And then as they see you looking at them, Reaper, they're like, oh shit. And then you hear something clanging, and at this point Martin hears, and you hear steps going up the stairs, like someone furiously running further into the house.
Look at Martin and be like, face, let's go. There's somebody there.
Yeah, go upstairs. I'll go outside and catch them if they try and run out.
Okay, I'll run up. Run up the stairs.
Okay, so you run up these old creaky stairs, like, up the stairs, and you start looking around. You don't see them. You notice that most of the doors are either open or creaked or broken, and there's one door that seems to be shut at the far end.
I'm gonna go up to the door and open it slowly.
It's locked.
Oh, I'll wrench the doorknob with wreck. You want me to roll for that?
Yeah, you're just gonna kick it open.
No, I'm gonna wrench the doorknob.
Oh, like try to get it to... Sure.
Okay, give me a minute.
And I'm running outside to see if anybody's trying to escape out of a window or something.
Okay. So you guys see Martin come out the door, like, hurriedly, so that Blinder and Carver are aware. And then what was that, Reaper?
I got 2 6s and a 2.
That's a crit. So you just, like, basically just crunch the lock open, like, breaking it through the section that would lock it. And then you're able to just, like, push the door open. Like, it has a bit of a budge, and then it pops open.
Okay. I'm opening it slowly so I don't hit whoever's behind the door.
You see a window is open, and there's a person there now trying to get out the window. But you can see there's no roof in front of it, so they're, like, going like they're trying to jump out, and they're unsure if they're going to. And it seems like a very scraggly looking, what you presume is squatter or something. They're dirty, their hair is all crazy, and they're not like super old. They're actually probably like a teenager, maybe, something like that, but they're very dirty, and they're trying to get out the window, basically. And you can tell there's this hesitance because you're like almost 2.5 stories up, right? So they're like, there's this hesitance of them jumping out this like basically 15-20 foot drop, like they don't know if they could do it, right?
Okay, I'm gonna rush towards where they are in the bathroom and grab them by the waist.
Okay.
And you're gonna fall and hurt yourself. Let's get back inside.
They're like, don't hurt me, don't hurt me, don't hurt me. They like start freaking out as you like push them.
I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm trying to drag you back in. Calm down.
They're like still freaking out, like holding themselves away. Like,
I'll put them down on the floor and close the window.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll turn to them.
Mm-hmm. They're still kind of like bundled up, like hidden, like they have a hand in front of their head, like they're worried you're gonna hit them or something, like trying to look away from you.
I'm not gonna hurt you. Why are you here?
And then they slowly open up an eye and look, and they're like, "Oh, you're not one of the bluecoats.
No, no, no.
I thought you were that bluecoat lady that came back."
There was bluecoats here?
"Yeah, a couple days ago. There's some bluecoats, and they came in the place, and I hid in the closet, and they didn't see me. I'd been staying here for a while. There was a guy downstairs, and when I came in one night, he was down there like all day and all night. So I was afraid to make any noise. I was hiding in the closet, and then I heard all the bluecoats come in, so I thought, oh, okay, maybe I'm saved or whatever." And they looked through the whole house, and they didn't find me. And then they started getting, like, this woman and this man started getting into an argument. And then the rest of the bluecoats left, and they argued, and then she stormed out, and then he left. And I didn't know if I should go or stay, so I just kept hiding. And then it seemed like they were gone, so I figured I would just stay here, once they came and took all the stuff out of here and everything.
Okay. Well, me and my friends were looking for someone.
Okay.
Somebody named Agatha Aglet.
I don't know anyone by that name.
Okay.
I heard another woman here. She was an older woman, though. That was a while ago. After that, I left for a short time, and when I came back, that was when I got caught here, and so I hid.
Are you hungry?
Yeah.
Okay, well, come meet my friends, and we'll get you something to eat and get you cleaned up.
Okay. And they follow you hesitantly.
Okay. I'm gonna look around, make sure that there's no one else in the house, and
You don't see anyone else, yeah. Plus
Okay.
the racket that you had created, you presume if somebody else was here, they're either hiding or have left, or they would have come out already.
Yeah, fair. Okay, I'll bring them outside where you guys are,
Okay.
and I will immediately let them know she is not harm. It's a she.
You're unsure.
Okay, so they are harmless. They are hungry. They're just squatting here. Be nice.
Well, hey there, little one. Were you here with anyone named Amanda?
No. Nope, I don't know an Amanda.
How long have you been here?
Couple days, and then I left for a while because that weird, creepy guy was here, and I'd been.
Creepy how? How was he?
He was really pale, and he kind of looked like you. No offense, but I mean, like, not as nice, nicely dressed. What are your peoples? What are you guys?
Skovlanders.
Yes, yeah, he looked like a Skovlander, yeah. He was like kind of pale like you, but he had this scar across his face.
Okay.
He like went down into his mouth.
Interesting. And he was tall like me as well.
Yeah, he was really tall. He was really angry too. I would hear him down here like screaming, and then I would hear thumping, like just thumping all the time. I didn't know what it was. So one day I peeked and I saw, and he was like throwing a knife against a wall or something, and he was just angrily doing it. So I kept hiding.
It a nice knife, or was it?
Yeah,
like
it was really shiny. I couldn't see it super well, but it seemed really shiny. In the light, I would see it reflecting on the wall when he would throw it. He seemed really well dressed too. Like, he seemed really nice. I was really surprised when I thought it was just another squatter, and I was worried that he was gonna, try to hurt me or chase me off and try to claim this place as his. But he never saw me, and he was dressed way too nice, so I didn't know what was going on. So I thought it was maybe he owned the house or something, so I hid.
And you said, was it just him, or were others with him?
There was another man, I think, but I think he was dead.
Dead? Like he was like a corpse? Like they had brought a
He was like,
dead body?
He was laying there, I think. and I think I saw blood.
Yeah, they pushed him through the hole in the floor on the first level into the basement as to put me in the same room with a dead body.
Were you the man in the hole?
No.
I heard the night that it all happened when the bluecoats came. I heard a man in the hole screaming, and a bunch of noises and clanging and all sorts of stuff.
Oh yeah, the noise making, that was me.
Bluecoats came.
Yeah, they came.
Yeah.
The man who was downstairs threw the body into the hole, and I heard him. At first I heard him go outside, and then he came back inside, and then I heard him say something, and then he pushed the body into the hole, and then he left. And then the bluecoats came and started looking around, and then once most of them left, he showed up again, and he started talking to this lady that seemed to be in charge of him.
And did you get a good look at the lady, or did you just hear her?
I think she was like older. She had like gray hair. I was worried they would see me, so I like peeked for a second, and then I went and I hid.
So you didn't get a very good look.
No, I just know she was a blue coat, and she seemed like she was in charge.
Was there a commotion that caused the bluecoats to come? Did you hear somebody screaming outside, or
No,
or
the man went outside and he blew a whistle, and then they all started coming.
So he called them in.
Yeah, I think so. I saw him blew a whistle. He was standing at the door and he blew a whistle, and then he was turning towards where I was because I was at the top of the stairs. I was worried he would see me, so I went and I hid for a while, and then I came back after all the bluecoats searched through the whole house, and I hid. And then once they left, I looked again, and I saw him talking to that woman who was a bluecoat.
You knew, and so the woman was a bluecoat as well.
Yeah, the older woman was a bluecoat. I think she was in charge, because all the other bluecoats listened to her.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have food?
No.
We can get some.
Okay.
I'll pull out a small hunk of bread.
And the kid will furiously grab it and just start munching on it.
Easy now. Don't eat too fast.
Well, at that, they sort of try to slow down and chew slower and stuff.
There you go. There you go. Chew it slow. It doesn't come back up.
Mm-hmm. I'm Harvey.
Also doesn't hurt as much.
Okay. Hey, no doubt. I mean, look at you.
No, I'm Harvey. That's my name. My name's Harvey.
Oh, I thought you said you were Hardy. I'm a little hearty. I'm like, yeah. No, you are.
I'm Harvey.
Harvey. It's good to meet you, Harvey. Did you ever hear any names in these conversations you witnessed?
Yeah, the woman said the man's name.
What was his name?
I'm trying to remember. It was weird. It was I think give me a second. The kid says.
Mm-hmm.
I have it written down, sorry, I just need to find it.
Yeah.
Oh, she called him Owen, I think. Owen. She was like, "Listen here, Owen. You tell your boss," or something like that.
I don't know any Owens, I don't think.
Is Owen a common name in this genre? I don't know, it's time period or whatever.
ish. Not it's not like Michael or something, or Adam or something like that. But it's relatively common.
All right. Oh shit! I'm gonna go check all the outbuildings. Get into them, see what's in there, see if there's any like I don't know salvageable stuff
It's all empty,
while we're here. Okay.
says Harvey.
Hey, Harvey, would you like to come back to a place that's safer than just squatting in a random house?
Don't trust him.
Yeah. Let's not just invite some random people.
Well, I wasn't talking about our place. I can get him a place.
That's fine.
All right. I mean, it's your money. Do what you want with it.
Sure.
Okay.
You're not gonna like hurt me or something, are you?
No.
No,
No.
I'd rather you
You're not gonna
run
make
away.
me work in one of those factories or something?
No.
Okay. Sure. And so Harvey will follow you as you're leaving, I guess? Are you guys leaving, or?
I'll wait
Well,
for
I'm out of ideas.
Okay. So you go looking through the other buildings, and as Harvey had said, they're pretty much empty. It seemed like people had, if there had been anything here, people had taken it all, right? Or sold it, or whatever.
I mean, the only thing I can do is anybody here know the name Scarlock?
What did you say?
Scarlock. I don't know. It was something that Chael popped off the mouth with.
Who's Shale?
Chael, he's a blue coat. Lieutenant. Got a weak jaw.
He's got a glass jaw.
Super glass jaw.
Oh,
Very
and
strange name.
Reaper would know that Chael's not a blue coat.
Shale's not a blue coat at all. He's just some dude.
Well, I was told he was a blue coat lieutenant.
Maybe he's working for the blue coats.
Could be. But he lives in a mine. I don't get it.
I to answer your question, no.
Huh? All right. Sorry, didn't mean to get off track there. Yeah. Or no, sorry. I think it was Teddy. Yeah, it was Teddy that told me about Scarlock because old boy had his jaw broke.
You are, in fact, right. It was Teddy.
Yeah, that's why I was like,
Yeah.
no, my brain's working. It works, I promise. Chat, I promise. Ryan's brain works.
It's okay.
Most of the time.
All in character, anyway.
Okay. Do you guys have a plan of attack, or are you heading back to the loft? Or was your plan to pitch up Harvey somewhere? Okay.
Yeah, the plan is to find Harvey a small spot where they can at least be safe and a good sleeping area.
Okay, so like a rented room or something like that. Okay, sure. So I won't make you go through that just because we are a little bit past our time we normally take our break. So we can go into more detail about that later, but we can say on the way, not right next to the loft, but somewhere nearby, you find like a boarding house with people that seem, nice, like an older couple. And you pay them and you say, hey, this kid, we found him. We want to make sure he's a safe place to stay. Would you be willing to take him? And they're like, yeah, sure. And, for a simple sum, they'll put him up for the week or, starting off, and then however long after that you want, and they'll provide him with, 3 square meals a day, As long as and as long as he's willing to help out with chores, etc. around the place, they'll even give him a little bit of pocket change or something like that. You know,
Awesome.
they totally get the vibe that this kid is sort of a street kid, and you're just trying to do what you can to help him out. You know, so they're like, yeah, sure, why not? The group finds themselves back at their place for the time being that they've been using, the loft, which is an old sort of dilapidated 2-story building beset on the far side of the night market, a ways away from Gaddock train station, nearby to the lightning barrier. It is smelly and gross, and they find themselves back there. Unis, it seems when they arrive, Unis has been tidying up the place as best as they can. Like, they've been picking up garbage and carrying it off to the lower level and setting it into some sort of crates they had found, sort of using as a garbage disposal, and they've been slowly sort of picking up the space to the best of their ability. It still has that obvious smell because it's set into the walls and everything of that variety, but it seems like they are attempting to try and make it a little more livable than it was before.
Well, hey, Eunice, thanks.
Oh, no problem. It's good to see you back. How was your evening? How did everything go?
I'd say it went successfully.
Oh, good. How is Aldo doing? Do you know?
That I can't answer. I'm not.
I was gonna run by and check on him after a little while if it's cool with everybody. Make sure that
Okay.
I'll go with
Brill
him.
is holding up his end of the bargain.
All right. Well,
I would much rather stay. I am going to stay here. Where's the facilities?
the same place where they were where you used them last night.
Oh, you did we?
We'll say that there's an old room in the downstairs section that used to be like sort of a washing room, and people have been using it. Maybe there's a bucket there, and then they slop it out the back window or something. You're like, you know,
still not feeling well. Go on ahead without me. I'll be
Well,
back.
I was saying before we go off, we should sit down and have a talk. But, you know, if nature calls, go too. I can wait.
He'll leave. Just get up and walk out. And go downstairs.
Okay.
And
I don't necessarily need to go and check on Aldo right this second.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to have that long of a conversation. It seems that we all have, we've all done a thing. We've all done one job together. And, well, looks to me as though it was very successful in what the result was. I'm saying maybe we should try and do this professionally.
I've been trying to say this for days now.
Oh, yeah? Well, I'm sorry. Sometimes my memory's not perfect. So, I don't...
I swear on the same page.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say I'd trust you as far as I could throw you, which for a good portion of you is a pretty good distance. But we've done one thing. I mean, why not try another one? See if it works. See how it fits. You know, it's like a good jacket. Okay, all the seams have to be right. All the pockets in the right positions. The buttons have to be on the right side. Or the left side if you prefer that. You know, but I'm not one of the, like I said, the smart people, the heady people. So I make rash, impulsive, destructive decisions. So just understand that if we work together, that's something you're working with. But if it comes to a scrap, I haven't found better yet.
I think I could deal with that.
And also, no big words. Please. Cut straight to the point. Like, what needs to get done, it'll get done. Well, I'm just saying, that's what I bring to the table.
Blinder comes back in a little bit later, still clutching his stomach.
Everything come out okay?
That's something I ate, I think.
Right. So I'm assuming you didn't hear the conversation?
No.
Well, as I like to be, short and to the point, we did one job together. It worked out for the better. I'm thinking we try another one. See where it goes.
That would, well, I would, yes, whoever perpetuated the crime against your cousin and abducting them has a vendetta
Something like that, but
for you and is extremely powerful. And if there's any connection between that and Mr. Aldo's attack and what has transpired in Char Hollow, I would suggest, well, even if they are not connected, I would still suggest that our course aims towards self-protection, as we have attracted quite a bit of notice, I would say.
well, I mean, I'd say the bounty that's on my head is pretty substantial.
I also think that each one of us stands to gain from such assistance from each other. Mr. Brill treats...
Yeah, I don't really want to work with Brill.
Mr. Brill treats Carver like he's an employee, and he treated us the same way. He's not going to be as inclined if we have established our own reputation, I suppose.
Well, then he's got to come and take it, and that's where like I'm thinking me and Reaper come in, is when they come trying to take it, and they wind up getting their ass handed to them.
I was more thinking that they would be more inclined to equitably bargain with us rather than...
Hey, whoa, big words. No big words.
This is why we have people that can actually use big words, so that we can use words before we use fists.
I know enough words to...
See, you've given the man a headache.
No, that's the...
He's saying that Brill might see us as having more to offer if we're a crew.
He won't walk all over us, that's for sure. I would
thank you.
apologize. I still have... Are those earbuds? Did I leave the... Have you seen them? I seem to have misplaced them somewhere.
Eunice pipes in. Those little pieces of cotton?
Yes.
Sorry, I thought they were garbage. I threw them in the crate with the other rubbish.
Wonderful.
I'm sorry. I didn't know.
No problem. No, I'm fine.
She goes over to a pillow and sort of pulls some more out and then brings it over to you, and she's like, "Here," she says, handing you this like fluff ball of pulled, cotton papery blend that is used for pillow inners.
He starts stuffing him in his ears a little bit, like trying to leave enough, just enough to hear, and he's like cooking his ear a little bit. Anyway, I as I was going to suggest, he's speaking louder, because he can't hear
He's
us
like,
quite as well.
"Can you hear me?" Like that.
much.
Yeah.
I was going to suggest, perhaps we should aim to find out the state of Mr. Aldo's being, and then try to secure some sort of a more secure premises.
Well, I mean, I have an apartment, but it's being scoped out by bluecoats as far as I know.
I suggest none of us really has any. I have no means of supporting myself. That's
why we take the one job, is so that we have the money to get the space. Do you not know anything about running businesses?
no.
Well, neither do I. But I know that you get money that allows you to get a space, that allows you to get more jobs, that allows you to get more money.
I'll be right back. Gets up and he walks out. He goes downstairs.
Am I
Oh, so is he
talking
going?
the shit out of him?
Is he going down the stairs into the lower level, or is he going out the back stairs out the back area?
He goes downstairs like he's going down to the facilities, but he just keeps going down, and he goes out to the back of the alleyway, and he's basically gonna sit in the back of the alleyway, right? Like what the fuck am I doing? Like, shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit.
As he's sitting there, a person...
He's still clutching his chest because he really is having stomach issues.
Yeah,
but
a person walks up behind him and it's like, pardon me, sir, would you happen to have a match? You turn and find a very well-dressed Eruvian man. Very fine, chiseled jaw, like perfectly set, mustache, no goatee. His hair is very black but slick back. He's wearing what seems like nice business clothes almost, but they seem like you can tell that they're a bit more like rugged, like meant for use. He seems to be wearing fine boots that are also very rugged, but they're very nice. You can see at his belt is a scabbard of a very fine-looking thin blade, like a sword, with a very nice pommel on it, very intricate and ornate set, and it's sort of proudly set. And he's wearing a rain jacket, but instead of wearing it in a way like he has got his arms through it, he kind of has it draped over. Yeah, like over his shoulders as he's walking, almost kind of like cape-like, right? He has a pair of gloves that he's sort of slowly taking off. As you can see, he's holding there's a cigarette in his mouth, and he's taking his gloves off, and putting them and gathering them into his hand.
No, sir. I'm sorry. I was just stepping out for some air.
Oh, I know how these things can be, Very interesting part of the city you find yourself in.
Oh, I come down here sometimes. The markets, I find them appealing.
I see. You are very nicely dressed for such a place.
Oh yes, it's just that is. I just got off work.
Oh, I see. Perhaps we are both lost. I cannot seem to find my way. I'm looking for a man who I was told would be in the building that you walked out of. Do you happen to know him?
I don't know. Who are you looking for?
I'm looking for a man by the name of Blinder.
who would be if I and why? What would be the reason?
I need to speak to him about a few points of business, shall we say. Oh, pardon me. I mean not to be rude. My name is Malone LaRoche. Very nice to meet you.
Okay, forget that. I'm gonna write that down. Malone LaRoche.
Yes, Malone LaRoche.
That's what I have when I have my head down.
Yeah, of course. Same thing. Anytime somebody sees me doing this, it's me like taking a note and remembering things that you guys did.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Business.
It's
Well?
a person who called himself a friend of his, sent me in this direction. I was told to find him.
Friend of his. I see.
Yes.
I'm gonna take a quick look around.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna try to recall the room on the other side of the wall that I'm sitting on.
Oh, inside the
Right.
loft.
Yeah, because I've seen inside of it, right?
Yeah.
You know, like
It's a
'cause I've
big
been in and
big empty space with a few back rooms. One that you'd been using as the bathroom, one that seemed like it was like an office or something of that variety, and that the rest of the space is open, as though the building used to be some sort of business or something of that variety, like an.
And I'm thinking for a second. I'm gonna sit there and regard the person,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to start mentally mapping. Like, okay, you know, like he's thinking out. Like, okay, before he speaks, he might have to do something. So he's gonna sort of plan out the different scenarios that may play out.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, you seem to have found him, luckily.
Ah, you are Mr. Blinder.
Yes.
Ah, wonderful.
Yes.
Very nice to meet you. I've introduced myself, and you have introduced yourself. Perhaps we could leave now.
I'm sorry. Leave where?
To meet my employer, of course.
I see. And who would your employer be?
Ah, you will meet him eventually.
I'm sorry. There are quite a few employers in the city I'd rather not meet, if you know what I might catch my understanding.
I understand. I don't want to be rude, but I will tell you, if you try to run, I will cut you, and then I will carry you with me. You will come with me one way or another. I was told to bring you to my employer, and I will do so. One way or another, my friend. With a glove, or with a sword. Your choice.
May I bring my companions?
Ah, if you wish, yes. As long as they do not try to intercede in these matters.
Very well.
I mean this in a way to not be rude once more. I do not wish to harm your friends, nor do I wish to harm you. I wish to bring you back whole to my employer so that you may talk with him. But if you try something, or your compatriots try something, it will go very bad for one of us. I cannot say.
Interesting. Very well. Well, I seem to have no choice, as you have pointed out.
At least
Or
for
at
the
least-
time being, my friend.
Yes. At least for the time being. Follow me.
Of course.
There may be quite some upset there. We weren't expecting visitors.
I understand.
Turn around and he's walk upstairs. Another walk of shame. Just like,
Sure.
like,
And Malone will follow you to the door.
this is gonna be a conversation I'm not looking forward to. And I'm gonna knock on the. I'll knock on the door. I'll make sure I'll be like, hey, I gotta. My friends, I'm gonna knock on the door.
Who the fuck knocks at the door? Open
We
it or not?
we have a visitor.
Martin immediately stands up, puts his back to a post within like charging distance of the door.
He's
Palming a blade.
Please, I'm going to open the door now. Please be nice.
That means he's got a gun. Okay.
Open the door. Walk in like shit. I'm sorry, guys.
Malone
What the-
motions you in.
Okay.
So you see a well-dressed Aruvian man come walking in. As a...
And without...
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, I was going to say, do you want me to repeat the description I'd given, or was everyone aware?
No, I have a thing, though. Like, as soon as he walks in, Martin just kind of stands up, looks... Excuse me, may I examine the stitching on your shirt?
I would prefer if you stay back from me, at least for now. But later, perhaps, yes.
It looks really, really well made.
I think-
Custom fit?
Oh, yes.
Oh, good work.
The Aruvian are the finest seamstresses in all the land, that is true.
Yeah, at least I like to think so.
It seems Mr. Malone, Mr. LaRoche. LaRoche.
Yes.
My apologies. Has been sent to. We have been. Our presence has been firm. Well, at least my presence has been firmly requested by his employer, who I.
Do you owe people money?
No.
So we bring people in that we don't know that want to take us to an employer we don't know.
Let me be very distinctly clear. He wanted to bring me to his employer, and he could. He's under the instructions to bring me to him, and he seems like a man who is going to keep his word one way or another. And the physical state of being does not seem to have been detailed. That's been clarified for our friend here.
And you're a Ruvian, I'll look at the guy
Mm-hmm.
start approaching him with my
Sure.
hand out like I'm going to shake his hand.
Sure. He will
So-
shake your hand.
What business do we have with this gentleman? See, we're not in the business of going with people we don't know to places we don't know.
I
It could be
understand.
an
This man has a price on his head, and my employer wishes to ask him about such a price. Also, a friend of yours, his, I am told, is also sent me here, in a manner of speaking. A
Okay, so
woman,
how many people are asking for who?
I'm starting to understand here why you guys are afraid of the word friend.
See? He can be taught. It's amazing.
I would mention the woman's name. Her name was Mercy, I believe.
Oh, well, shit. Let's go.
Well, to be honest, Mercy is being kept a prisoner until I provide Mr. Blinder to my employer. Friendly, of course.
Yeah. Blinder, guess where you're going?
Yes,
And that means I'm going with you, because if Mercy's there, I'm going.
Well, no one's going to take one of our crew away from us without us all going, right?
Well, I mean, I would hope so.
I was not told compatriots of Blinders could not come, so I'm fine either way.
Well,
You want to come, Carver? I'd like it if you came.
This was a decision that was made for me well before we knew what was going on. I'm already there.
Okay. Kind of mount up, get suited and booted.
Okay.
I'm just gonna look over at Carver. And I understand you seem like a very firmly resolved person. But because you are new, and I suppose, are you sure? Because no good deed goes unpunished in the city.
Very true.
I guess I'm just a glutton for punishment.
Hey, who knows? Depending on who the person is, we might get paid. We might get paid after this. There's someone who can talk good.
So, shall we be on our way?
Sure.
Yeah.
Please. And he walks up and goes to the bottom of the stairs, waiting for you all to follow behind him.
I'm following.
More specifically, Blinder, but yes.
Oh, he's gonna get subtle, kind of like shoulder pats every now and again. Just kind of like, yeah, it's okay, buddy. It's okay. We're gonna make it through this.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, not a problem. Gives him a slap on the back. That's like it's like a good coughing slap. Oh,
That's not necessary. I'm still suffering. My stomach. It's terrible.
that means you should probably take a shit.
I don't think that's really gonna help.
Oh, are you on that shit?
No. But there's no need to details of my.
Grr.
I'm just in a lot of pain.
Well, suck it up and deal with it. There's money on the table. For your head, apparently. And my head, apparently. Maybe we can, I don't know.
Yes.
At this point, Martin is just kind of, like, as we're walking, he's kind of stretching and limbering up for just in casey.
Sure. So you all leave. You walk outside, and there seems to be a carriage, like a nice carriage, waiting. And Mr. LaRoche waits a moment and then says, "Pardon me," he says to the cabbie, and then he whistles for another cabbie. And he says, "I will pay for you to follow me." And the cabbie, agrees. He puts a little pouch of silver in his hand, hops into the carriage, and invites Mr. Blinder to join him. And anyone else that can fit. It's like a 4-seater, so there's not room for everyone.
I'll get in the back one.
Okay.
Buddy will sit in with him.
Okay.
Sit with Martin.
Okay. Martin is just taking up, like, one of the whole sides just by himself.
Mm-hmm. Is Reaper riding with them or with the front cab?
Reaper's running with the front cab.
Okay. So I presume Blinder and Reaper are sitting next to each other.
Blinder's gonna avoid her any look at her drag. He's just like, But you do see he doesn't have like the normal necessarily nervous face. Of course, he looks like he's in pain, right? Like physically, but but he just looks just like, he has that resigned sort of look on his face.
Sure. So you take off and you start heading through the city until you eventually find yourselves in Crowsfoot. Crowsfoot is a melting pot of the different cultures and districts of the city. It has poverty, it has vice, it has all sorts of mixtures. Like every little bit of the different districts that surround it, because Crowsfoot sits at the very center, sort of spill into it. One of the most renowned gangs within Crowsfoot is in fact called the Crows. It is also the home to other places as well, other factions and other things of that variety. You are led into Crowsfoot, not into its very heart, but you are led to a simple, plain building, nothing of particular note. Although it is not dilapidated or anything of that variety like you might have seen traveling through the area, but it seems to be very plain. The carriages arrive. He Malone stands up, opens the door, steps out, motioning to the other cabbie to pull up there as well. Ushers you out, and then at that the carriage pulls off. The cabbie unloads Carver and Martin, and then you are all there standing in front of this building. He walks up. He knocks on it in a strange rap, like almost like sing-song style, and then the door, like the thing opens, like a peephole opens, and they see him, and then you hear the peephole shuts, and then the door unlocks, and you are let inside of what looks like a large cargo sort of warehouse with boxes everywhere and things over the top of those boxes to cover what their contents might be. And you see in the room ahead of you is a woman dressed in plain worker's clothes, trousers and shirt with boots on. And she is sitting there. She also looks Peruvian. She's wearing her hair just sort of wild and free, you know. It's a little bit windswept, as though they might have been on a carriage ride themselves. They are sitting on top of a pile of sort of like boxes, like they've sat up on it and are sitting on it. There's a nice sword in a scabbard sitting next to them. And it is just you, Malone, and this other woman that are now within the space. As you all are ushered in, other than the one door guard that was on the door, there's like a dude standing there, also a Rivian, and he shuts the door behind you and then stands at the door, also with a very nice sword on his hip. So you walk past, presumably into the space, and at that point, Malone looks at you all and says, I would like to introduce to Mr. Blinder. I'm unsure of your friends' names. Madam Rowan, this is the man you sought, a Blinder. He says, pointing Blinder out in the group. And his compatriots, which he has chosen to bring with him. The woman gets up, stepping down from the boxes, and walks up to you.
Madame, I am the person that you seek. Although I have to profess, I've been not told why, and suspect that I might not like the answer, but I would like it anyway.
She looks to Malone and starts to do sign language, basically, like a version of sign language to him.
Okay.
He looks at her and says, the madam asks if you are aware of the price on your head.
No. Not in the particular.
She starts signing something again. She wishes to know, were you not aware that there was a bounty placed upon you?
From what I understood, there was some sort of incident in which my name was... I was apparently accused. I was unaware of a bounty. The accusations are, of course, false.
She signs something again. The madam has not heard of these rumors, but she is aware that there has been a price placed upon your head for your capture.
And I'm assuming that madam wants to collect on that bounty.
Actually, no. She starts signing again. In her good graces and in the those she works for, She was told to bring you in to make sure you're aware of the circumstances surrounding yourself and to see what can be done to assist you, should it be needed.
Assist me.
Yes. Mercy is a dear friend of our organization and has spoken very highly of you.
I see.
Do I see Mercy around here anywhere?
No.
Okay.
Oh, my
Very well.
apologies. I promised to your friend here that he looks to Madam Rowan, and then she signs something. Says, I will be right back. He walks off to a back space, opens a door, says something in Aruvian, which Reaper understands. He basically says, you hear Mercy mention, but he's basically saying, Mercy, your friends are here. And she comes walking out. She seems very, very well dressed, very well kept now. She's wearing very nice clothing, although it is still like sort of work clothes, so it's like trousers and things of that variety. But she seems very well kept, much better kept than she did previously when you all last saw her. Her hair is like braided down the back. She's also has a blade on her hip. And specifically to Reaper at this point, now that you're seeing all these blades, you remember an experience you had as a child with one of your Aruvian friends that had spoken about a school that taught this specific style of sword. And you just, the name is sort of on the tip of your tongue, but you just can't remember it. Because it's not a gang that often resides in Charhala. Mercy comes walking out. Sort of, reserved at first, and then sort of bubbles all at once and runs up and gives Martin a hug. And then she, after that, awkwardly goes over and sort of hugs Blinder.
Oh.
Very good to see you. He's just
Yeah.
stiffly like, nice, thank you. You were scaring the shit out of me. I once we were separated from Mercy's hug. I believe we were. I left the conversation early, but I believe that this could be some providence. We were just discussing how to go about arranging. We are in the process of having to arrange services for ourselves to protect ourselves, as it were, as if there's a bounty and the law is involved, and
The law is not involved, my friend. This is a bounty hidden in darkness, shall we say.
yes.
This is something only whispered of, a price to be paid in secret. A person very well connected, who I am unsure of. I've heard rumors, but a person far more connected than myself or even the consulate is wishing to find you. But being who I am, and my employers being who they are, I do not want to see these sorts of things happen. Not to a friend of the sashes.
Well, I believe then, if you could assist us with arranging or helping us arrange our enterprise here, I believe that we are trying to embark on, of course, all things come at a cost, and you, of course, undoubtedly know individuals in the city that we can trust to begin arrangements with. We are not
Madam starts
able
to sign something while you're speaking.
He stops talking when she's signing. He's like,
Hey, Madam wishes to let you know that you can trust no one.
Trust is, I agree. Trust is an inappropriate word. People who would benefit from having equitable relationships. with us.
True.
Since we are starting, it is better to work from a base, from building from something, rather than what we currently have, which is very little, from my understanding.
During this time, I just want to describe something. The madam, when they're not speaking to Malone, has been, and Reaper, you might notice that the others might not. She seems to be looking at you, Reaper. And there's this sort of like she almost like she knows you, but she doesn't, like you seem familiar. You know, like when you see somebody that you seems familiar, and you're like, you know, that sort of thing. Like that's what she keeps looking at you. You catch her glancing at you, and it's not. Yeah, and it's not like she's checking you out or anything. It's like she keeps like that sort of thing. Like, I think I know you, but I'm not sure. You know, like you seem really familiar, sort of a thing.
She's totally checking her out.
That's
Maybe.
so odd.
She's with the sashes, man.
Oh, and when you heard Malone say that, you remember the name Reaper, the Red Sashes. They're a faction that formed out of the Red Sash Sword Academy, which was an Aruvian sword academy based out of Crowsfoot. So the Red Sashes are basically their sort of underground presence that exists as a gang.
Blinder turns. Well, kind of just like gives a pleading look, you know, basically with his eyes, trying not to really portray, you know, to Carver or Reaper or Martin, somebody who's like better at talking in this situation than he is. He's like, help me out here. I'm fucking this up.
I'll take the cue. I'll look at the lady and I'll take a long pause and then speak up.
Okay.
So,
Are you speaking
what
the
is
common tongue, like Akarosian, or are you speaking Aruvian to them? Oh, you're going to speak Aruvian. Okay, so you start hearing Reaper start prattling on in a completely different language that none of you understand. It seems like Mercy's following along, and obviously Malone is following along. No, but please go ahead.
During the conversation, I looked to Mercy and I kind of asked for like, how's the conversation going, on the sly.
Okay, I'll make sure to do that here in a second. Go ahead, Reaper.
What is your vested interest in helping out my friend here? There's got to be something in it for you.
She signs to Malone, and he responds to you in Aruvian. Presumably, because you're speaking in Aruvian, you wanted to keep it private. He's like, I presume by the language we are speaking now that you do not want your friends to know this?
No, this can stay between us.
I see. And the madam is aware of different movements on the street, and those higher in our organization are aware as well. There is much to be gained if the person who is looking for Blinder is to find him, from what we understand. And to prevent such a thing from happening would weaken our enemies, in a sense. They would be bolstered by both money, profit, whatever the case may be. I'm unsure. We have heard many rumors. Our hope is to keep those rumors from coming to fruition.
So what you're saying is that those looking for Blinder are your opposition?
They are the city's opposition.
Fair.
Vast,
And
dark whispers spoken of Blinder, spoken of something he did beyond understanding, and someone wishes to find him for his secrets, to uncover whatever it is he knows.
I get it now. And what would you like in return for helping us?
Well, to know that he is safe, to know that he is kept out of the hands of those who oppose us. These are good things. The madam signs. Yes. The helping you find or establish your foothold is a different matter. That is not... if you believe that will help you establish a safe place, then sure. And we owe Mercy a great deal, that is true. So we would do this to help her. But in the future, our business deals are between what you will pay and what we will pay. Even though we wish for Mr. Blinder to remain unseen and unfound, it does not mean that we are going to give everything for free.
No, I understand that. I am interested in hearing, and she switches to the common language.
Takarosian. Okay.
I am wondering if you can help us keep Mr. Blinder hidden better, seeing as you were easy to find him.
We were only able to find him. He's speaking, by the way, not Corrosian as well for the rest of you, which is the common tongue. We were only able to find him because of Mercy telling us where he was. You were very well hidden, yes, but I must be honest, the place you are staying does not smell good. I can smell it on your clothes.
Tell me about it. Keep trying to tell these people.
Sounds
They don't
terrible.
understand.
The problem is this. I will be... He speaks in Eruvian, and you hear him. Rapier is like, he says to the man, do you want me to tell them what the issue is? And she has this moment where she's sort of thinking it over, and she signs. The problem is this, is that in any organization there are people who see all sides. My organization believes, portions of them, believe that helping Mr. Blinder, including Mercy and her family, believe that keeping Mr. Blinder safe would be our best interest. There are others who say perhaps selling him to those who seek him out would also be of interest to our organization. You must understand that we do not have the full might of the entirety of the Red Sash behind us. But we are doing what we can with those connections we have. And my lieutenant, the madam, can do. As well as Mercy and her family, should they choose to help. This is why it said you must be careful. And you cannot trust anyone. Because although some people may see there what is to be gained, there are others who understand that favors owed to powerful people can also be a boon unto itself. I can give you some time to think. Is that okay? He says, and the madam signs. We will give you some time to think. We understand this is a strange circumstance for you.
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't know. I kind of have an idea that we let you go to whoever, we get the money, and then we track down where you're going, find you, and bust you out of there. Make a buck. Make some coin.
She signed something, the madam. The madam wishes to let you know that if you were to release Mr. Blinder into the care of those who wish to seek him, you will never see him again. You will not find him. There will be no trace of him. He will cease to exist.
So
Please don't.
Putting Blinder in the hands is absolutely a no.
It was just an idea.
It was a terrible idea.
I don't give a shit. It was an idea, and no one else was coming up with shit.
Well, let's take the people that are looking at Blinder.
The madam signed something. Says, as we said, we will give you some time to think. We have a few business things we have to deal with up in the back. And then, of course, you want to interact with your friend Mercy, of course. Mercy sits there. And by the way, Mercy, normally, like, you guys had noticed that Mercy, like, interrupts people and stuff, like you've seen before. And Mercy, while they were talking, seemed very, very patient. Like, they weren't trying to speak over the individuals, as though there's obviously some sign of respect there, right? And then after that, Mercy's like, yes, that would be great. The two of them, Malone bows to you all. The madam tips her head, and then they walk off towards the back of the warehouse place.
Kind of awkwardly bow.
Mm-hmm.
As is customary for me.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Can you tell us what was in the secret messages?
I don't think it's... I think it's something for Blinder's ears only.
All right.
I might be able to share more later, but I'm not comfortable sharing here with everyone around.
Obviously, you weren't speaking Akarosi.
If that's the way you feel,
Anywho.
Mercy, pardon me, if that's the way you feel, Reaper, I also won't say anything.
No, it's not about you. It's about I don't know if they have people listening.
I understand.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
So,
Where you been? You just disappeared.
I
Turns to Mercy.
I felt really bad, and so I went looking into your cousin. And I didn't find her. I found a trail.
Oh, okay.
But my trail sort of ended, and then I got wrapped up in following another lead, which ended up with me getting basically arrested.
Well, what was the lead?
I had heard somewhere here in Crowsfoot that, someone had a conversation or had seen some sort of blue coat woman in Charhol or something like that. And I remembered something that Unis had said about a female blue coat. But when I went looking through Crowsfoot, I didn't find a female lieutenant in Crowsfoot, even though the lead said it was here. So I was going to follow it back to Charhollow, thinking perhaps maybe, some of the information got crossed there. And they brought me in. They found me. And they arrested me. And they said that someone was going to come and speak to me, an inspector or something of that variety. And I didn't know what was going to happen. And a few hours later, Madame Rowan appeared and Malone appeared, and they paid the Bluecoats a hefty sum, and we walked out the back door and didn't speak a word of it since. And for the time being, I presume that the Bluecoats might, even though they were paid off to release me, that if they find me again, or whoever it was that paid them to find me, or whatever it was that was going on, that they would very happily take me back in. So for now, I've just been remaining out of sight, out of mind. I'm sorry I didn't send a message or something, but...
Yeah, that would have been nice.
It's hard to know who's listening and who's watching and who's following, and if the message will be intercepted. This is a weird time, Martin.
You're telling me.
There are a lot of eyes open looking for you. And it's just hard.
And they could just find me, and the one that actually knocks me out gets me.
Yeah, but I don't want that to happen, Martin.
Well, I don't want that to happen either. I've tapped out a lot. Ain't never been knocked out.
Always stubborn.
Always.
She says it,
Blinder
sort of
will-
gives you one of those like pats on
Yeah.
the shoulder, like fist on the shoulder kind of thing.
Yep.
Blinder will kind
Go
of
ahead.
intrude,
Sure.
because he's been off a little distance. Not like avoiding the conversation, but not listening actively. Just letting them have their discussion with each other.
Sure.
It's like I believe we should probably go. Are we resolved here? Yes, and I'll look over at Reaper.
We're good.
Good.
So,
We got to get you a little disguise. If we're going to be dealing with people in jobs, they're going to recognize you and they're going to want to take you, so that if the rumors of there being a price on your head are true, they might double cross us and, take you in.
yeah, and I'm just brash, so if people are going to look at me, they're going to look at me.
While we could assume that they might be fooled by such a thing, I think we cannot assume in this case to the extent of which they can locate me. They might have access to facilities beyond normal.
Well, if you ask me,
Visual.
I think from whoever's handling the blue coats or whoever has the coin.
Which is precisely why we need to. Why I asked.
Well-
What I'm assuming that we all were discussing. I was out for parts of it.
So far, there's a price on 3 of our heads. The only one that doesn't have a price on their head is Carver.
But Carver had avoided an incident.
Just because there's no price on my head doesn't mean I'm not wanted by somebody. And
So
it's
wait.
only really to be silenced.
So, the 4 of us have people looking for us.
Yes.
Yes.
Shit.
And I know I have no idea why. And Mr. Carver, I'm assuming, does not, if he was judging from our last conversation. Do you have any idea why, Mr. Martin?
What?
I
Why somebody might be seeking him?
have an idea, but I don't really want to share it because it would only really be a personal thing to me. It wouldn't involve the rest of you.
This is quite fine. It's not an inquiry. Miss Reaper, do you have any idea, like why?
I know why they're looking for you, but I don't know why they're looking. Well, it would make sense why they're looking for Carver to silence him. They're looking for me for attacking Aldo, and I don't know why they're looking for Martin. I just, obviously, when we had the conversation.
I think they're probably looking for me because I went to my cousin's house and, like, I don't know, demolished 2 fucking minions of whoever.
There.
So, I think any price for my head is sheer pettiness, because until it's like, I don't know, 1,000 pounds of silver, we might start talking at that point. Or at least like a fleet of goats and carts or something. Something worth something. Ugh. I mean, I'm also willing to, let's see. We need coin right now. That's what we need. So what can we do now to earn some coin?
What?
Why don't we speak to these lovely people and offer them work?
Or at least, well, I think we need to have an idea about what it is we are going to do.
Okay.
I don't
Round
think,
robin time.
I don't think right now is the time for us to be choosy with our jobs.
I would
think we need to
agree.
There are some things I won't do. Most of them cost 2 coin or less. Well, I'm just saying, we go around the round robin real quick, figure out what kind of thing we're doing, and then offer services. And Reaper, you seem to have a better connection with them, so you could probably crank up the price a little bit, seeing as your family and such.
That's racist.
What?
Yeah, it kind of was, Martin. Just because she's a Ruvian doesn't mean she's related to them. I mean, like, me and Reaper aren't related, and we're both a Ruvian.
I think I understood.
My bad. And out of game, my bad. So.
It's okay. It was in game, so it's like. I think it was more one of those situations where Martin didn't quite understand the application of what he was saying, you know? 'Cause
Exactly.
Martin's kind of a meathead. Like, one of those, he's like,
He is.
oh, you're right. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't.
He goes over and like takes like a step and a half back and just kind of, and just slumps.
Reaper's laughing.
You apologize, Martin. It's okay.
You damn right it's okay. So what are we doing?
Let me talk to them and see what they may have to offer.
Right. I mean, we already know we're good at like reclaiming people.
I'll look over at Mercy and like kind of loudly whisper, "How do we get a hold of them?"
I could go let them know you're ready to talk.
Okay, cool. We'll do that.
Okay. So Mercy goes walking off. Comes back a few minutes later.
So we have a proposition. We are a group that likes to work, and we were wondering if you had any work to offer.
We always have work to be done. That is true. Are you looking for something specific?
I think we've all agreed that we need coin. So something that pays well, but
Right.
we have stipulations on what we will and won't do depending on the person. So if we could take a look at your catalog, as it were.
No, we do not have a catalog, but perhaps if you let me know what sort of things you might not wish to do, we can move forward from there. Anything?
So what?
Mr. Martin?
Oh, what are we not willing to do? Let's see.
Yes.
Nothing that involves kids or the elderly.
Sure. Of course. I mean, in the sense of, are you fine with stealing things? Are you fine with capturing
absolutely.
people? Do you have a problem with killing?
I'm
if
a
it is required?
collector. I'm a collector.
I don't have problems with any of those things.
If you need it collected, I'll collect it.
So you are more or less looking for any sort of work that we can provide, as long as it meets those guidelines. Yeah, we might have
And
a few
hopefully
jobs.
pays.
Oh, it will pay. We always pay.
Good.
We have a few things on the burners right now, shall we say. But we will not know until tomorrow which job to move forward with. Perhaps we give you the night to think about all that has been said, and tomorrow we will approach you with which job that we need to be done. You being individuals who exist outside of Grossfoot could be very good for us. So, and in exchange, we will, of course, not speak about Mr. Blinder. And we will try to assist you in finding a more hospitable place to call home for the time being.
That would be amazing.
I have one last question, actually.
Sure.
These people who seek me, are they referring to me, my alias?
No.
Are they? So they are using my name.
They're looking for a man by the name of Ezra Arcady.
See.
The only reason we knew that you, Blinder, were Ezra was because Mercy told us.
Oh. Very good. Thank you.
All right. Well, anywhere to sleep better than where we were. I appreciate it.
Go collect your things. We will send a carriage to meet you and take you to a place that you can stay for the evening until you have collected yourself. I presume the older woman will be joining you as well.
Yeah, for the time being, I assume.
Of course. Do you have a preference on it being within the night market, or are you fine with it being somewhere outside of there?
I mean, I'd prefer the night market just because I know it better.
I have a preference of it being outside the night market, and I would very much like to avoid the name of the district. Where's my map? Dunslow.
Oh, of course. We will not put you up in Dunslow. Do any of you have a problem with being on the water?
Not at all.
Good. We will send someone in a few hours.
Okay.
And at that point, he motions to the doorman. The doorman opens up the door, walks through it, and allows you to leave.
All right.
The madam shakes Mercy's hand, and then so does Malone. And there's a bit of a bow from Malone to Mercy, but you don't see from the madam. They say their goodbyes, shaking hands, whatever the case may be, to each of you, and then I presume you leave. Was there anything else?
Out of character, what was her name again? I didn't actually manage to write it down.
He had said the Madam Rowan. He never said her first name.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. So go back to the place, collect her stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, if we have the night, do any of you have anything to do tonight?
We should check on Aldo.
Yes.
That was the only thing.
Well, let's go do that then.
So the carriage that you saw Malone riding in comes up and it offers to give you a ride, at least to an area of town where there will be other cabbies. The door guard man says that is like, you can take this carriage and then find yourself a cab somewhere farther towards your district.
All right.
Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, just because you're sort of in an area of town that's mostly like warehouses and things, so there's not as much foot traffic, so there's not like a bunch of cabbies sitting everywhere, you know? So they take you into the district, dropping you off, letting you get a cab. I presume, are you guys just heading straight back, or was there things going on in the meantime?
We were gonna go and check on Aldo.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you
we'll-
guys head back to the loft, gathering your things as you had said, and then you're going and checking on Aldo. Okay. Or maybe you do that in reverse order. Maybe you go check on Aldo. And then
Yeah,
get your things.
we
Okay.
go check Aldo.
I presume, are you bringing Unis with you? Okay, so actually,
Yes.
so you stop by the loft, you grab Unis, and say, we're going to go check on Aldo, and then we're going to be moving, you know, and she's like, oh, okay.
Right.
So she comes with you, and you guys go back to where Virgil is, the sort of secret abode. You find your way there, and knocking on the door, Virgil opens the thing, sees you, lets you in. You walk into the building, down the stairs, and you see Aldo is laying on the bed, seemingly resting or something, unconscious.
Does he look better, as far as I can tell?
Virgil looks at you and he's like, it seems like the fever is starting to peak, but I think the medicine might be working.
Okay. Eunice, did you have any questions?
No, she doesn't even say anything. She just goes over to Aldo's side and like holds his hand, and it's just sitting there. You see a tear that she sort of kind of wipes away. When you say that, she turns around and she's like, is he going to be okay? And Virgil kind of stops for a second. He's like, well, we're doing everything we can, but at this point, it's just, he just needs to fight off the infection. Medicine's doing its work, though, it seems like. So he's got a good chance. But, I mean, the man's been through a lot. And,
I'll say stabbing and an arson all in the span of a few weeks.
yeah.
Oof.
But he's looking better. I mean, it's only been a night, so the medicine to really kick in is going to take at least a couple days. And we'll know more then. Right now, it doesn't seem like there's any sort of internal damage or anything like that. It seems like he had a dislocated shoulder that's been reset. There's going to be some soreness, obviously, if he does wake up in the next few days. But, and he doesn't really seem to have any sort of exterior burn marks across his body. It mostly seems internal. So that's just a matter of medicine and rest is what's going to fix that.
Right. Well, at least he's set up here.
Yeah.
Thanks for looking at him.
Yes, we really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's no problem. I mean, Rill hired me, so, I'm just doing my job. Just trying to make sure I take care of your friend.
Yeah.
Well, feel free to stay as long as you want. I mean, he's still pretty much unconscious at this point. But I'll give you some time, just in case you want to spend some time here with him. And Virgil walks off into another room, like a back sort of room. Oh, wait, like up the stairs and then back into the main portion of the house, kind of thing.
So we're gonna...
What do we do now?
We're ready to do whatever now. We need to move.
Yes.
Did you want to do something special, Carver?
No, I had no special plans.
How about we move and we have the discussion as to where... I don't know. I can discuss for days and days about the possibilities I see with this, but, I'm only one person. And I don't even know what you all do for a living.
I'm homeless.
I'm a fighter.
Well, yeah, I can tell. Like you I can tell, but you probably got some other things. Mr. Carver and Mr. Blinder, however, have no idea what they do. They have no idea what you do.
My name kind of gives it away.
Just to sort of check in while you guys are having this conversation, you spend some time there, letting Unis spend some time with Aldo, and then you guys are leaving and like walking outside and having this conversation, kind of a thing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is a walk and talk. We're headed to the new hangout.
Okay, so you guys grabbed all your stuff, and you spent some time with Aldo, letting Unis, and then eventually Unis comes with you, and Virgil, of course, gives you goodbyes and says he'll send someone your way if need be, or just send someone this way, and feel free to check in anytime. And so you grab your things, you head off, and when you arrive back at the loft, hours later, there is a Aruvian man with a sword waiting on the stairs, sort of like tossing rocks on the ground, like he's bored.
Been there, my friend. Evening.
And he stands up and he walks to the canalway of the night market, because there's a canalway. Steps off into the canalway, walking down ramps, and then steps onto a boat and ushers you on. with him.
Get on kind of unsteadily.
Mm-hmm. It's a small boat, but he starts basically traveling you through the canalway until you eventually find yourself back at Crow's Foot. He pulls up to an older dock beset by many, many boats, and then pulls up next to what seems like a medium, kind of size, almost like the size of like a small apartment barge, and ties off the little boat, gets up out of it, and then just sort of stands there helping you onto the dock.
Okay. I'll get out and help people.
Mm-hmm.
It's been quite a long time since I was on such a craft.
Were you in the desert?
No, I just don't.
At this point, hearing you guys talk, Mercy looks up over the edge. She's like, "Oh, hey, there you are! Come on!"
Oh, hey, what's up? And immediately, doom, 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 doom.
Yeah.
I am charging up to wherever it is.
Yeah, and so, feel free to continue the roleplay.
No, that was
Okay.
Keep
So you guys
going,
basically
I'll
come
walk
under
up.
the barge. It doesn't seem like it's a craft obviously meant for speed. It obviously was at some points a much smaller sort of cargo craft. You go below deck, and there are captain's quarters, which are a much bigger room. And there's a few other rooms for the different crew members, right? Most of them have like 1 or 2 bunk beds in each of them so that people could bunk up if they wanted to. But there's enough for each person to more or less have their own room if they wanted to.
cool.
Blinder will find a room, preferably one out of the he'll take the smallest room if necessary.
Sure, one with like a single
as
bed
long-
or something.
just like the furthest away from people.
Okay. We'll say it's like
Martin
crew
goes-
quarters. It's got like, it's a narrow room, almost like a dorm room with like bunk beds beset on both sides with little drapes that can cover them up, What was Martin doing?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Martin is finding the most obvious place to sleep.
Which
Which is, I mean, like if people come to this place and they're thinking bedroom, like immediately where would someone go?
Oh, each of them kind of
For
has
that.
a bedroom vibe. The only room that isn't just like a narrow sort of dorm room beset by bunk beds on both sides with a simple table on the far side, is the captain's quarters. And even the captain's quarters is only a little bit bigger with a single bed in there.
All right, well, I'll
And
find a bunk then.
Mercy offers that room to Unis, unless somebody else wants it. Okay, so yeah,
Nah.
Mercy's like, Unis, dear, you can have this room if you want. And Unis is like, oh, thank you, and then like goes in and starts making herself at home,
Martin definitely finds himself a bottom bunk.
Okay.
Because, hopping up and down out of bed, no thanks.
Yeah. At one point, when Blinder is off in his really awkward space, Mercy like runs into the room, hops up onto the top bunk, and is like, top bunk, on the one right above Blinder.
I make strange body sounds in my sleep. I don't think you really want to sleep here.
Oh, I've slept near Martin. It's not a big deal. Hey, Martin, why don't you bunk up with us in here?
Goes over, starts pulling the bunk bed into the other room.
You don't need. There's another bunk bed right there.
Oh yeah. Puts it back. Oh yeah.
There's plenty of other rooms. We don't have to.
Now we can cuddle. It'll be warm.
There's another bed. You guys don't have to cuddle.
Don't touch
Unless you want to. I mean, that's your choice. Mercy says, kind of sitting there talking to both of you, like.
No, he said no cuddling.
Good night.
Didn't say anything about being the big.
Are you
screen.
already going to bed? Oh.
I'm really tired and I'm
okay.
quite in pain. I might be
fine.
getting up in the middle of the night, so I hope I don't wake you up.
That's
I'll
fine,
turn
don't
o-
worry
roll,
about it.
roll
It's all right.
over.
If you can sleep through my snoring, you'd be all right.
Mercy like closes the drape for your bed for you. There you go.
Yeah.
And then you hear her get down and walk out of the room.
He'll roll over and then wait until either A, everybody leaves, or B, like whoever stays in the room falls asleep, and then take the blanket and then go find somewhere else to sleep.
Oh no! As soon as Mercy ran off, Martin walks back over to where he was unpacking his stuff, and just starts unpacking his stuff there.
Sure. And when Mercy sees that Blinder moves, she just like, she sort of gets what's going on and ends up just like crashing in a different room, letting Blinder have his own space. But in that meantime, because we are very close, the sort of, unless Carver had anything or Reaper had anything else they wanted, towards the end of that conversation, you guys all hear Mercy in the other room. It's just like, I found alcohol! And for those that wish to partake, upon the ship, there ends up being alcohol drank, a little bit of enjoyment, unless people, like, it seems like Blinder's just going to bed. What about the rest of you? Reaper's partying? Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah.
Too.
So there's drinking. You're going to wake him up? You're going to wake up? Yeah, okay, so at one point, after everyone's had quite a few drinks, some stories have been spread, maybe some card games or dice games played, everyone's sort of like, hey, we should wake up Blinder! And then you all go into Blinder's room, and then you, like, pull back the curtain, you're like, Blinder! You know, and everybody's just there, unless Carver and Martin don't want to participate, which is totally fine.
He doesn't really fall asleep.
Oh,
but,
okay.
like, as they walk in, he'll be like...
Even probably hears their drunken giggling, like, shh!
Yeah,
you know, like giggling,
like,
and they're all, like, coming up on you.
And he'll wait until they open it, they're like, oh!
Yeah.
Like you do to a kid, you know, when a kid like surprises you, you're like, "Oh, you found me!" Okay.
Yeah,
That's
and he'll
great.
be like, "Great, that was fun."
Come drink with us.
I'm just not. My stomach is killing me. I'm sorry.
Maybe hair of the dog will help.
Sure.
Yeah, come get up.
Get up and walk out and sit down in a very calculated measure.
You look over.
He'll take a sip.
You find that there's a vast selection of liquor. Like, this is probably like a party boat.
Yeah.
And
okay.
And for the red sashes or Ruvians, whoever they are, right? And so there's like normal like drinking alcohol, but then there's also like fine wines and like just top shelf, bottom shelf, medium shelf, whatever your preference is.
Yeah, he'll take off something fairly nice, like a wine, and he'll be like, "Oh, hey," for a little bit, and he'll just kind of sip it.
It's really good. It's very good.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Gives you that warm sort of sensation through your body. You haven't really drank alcohol in a bit, especially it's not something that's nice. It is definitely not the swag of Dunslow. This seems to be like sort of like upper class sort of alcohol. Definitely, whereas, in Dunslow and other places, a lot of alcohols and meads and things are made of mushrooms and things that they have a lot of. These things are actually made of like actual fruits and things of that variety, which means they're probably very expensive bottles. So,
all right.
Eventually food is made, you all party, you have a great time, and then presumably you all pass out at some point. And I think that is where we will call tonight's game, unless anybody has anything else.
No,
Okay.
I am done.
Awesome.
Put a fork in me. I am done.
Great game, everybody.